On this episode of Taskforce Geek, we welcome comic writer and artist Michael Pickard, who is releasing 3 different comics over the next month and a half. We'll also talk about the box office on Shang-Chi, about Sony moving Venom 2 up by 2 weeks, and about the new Matrix 4 trailers that dropped today, and that's all coming up now. Welcome to Taskforce Geek. My name is Dirk Hooper, and I promise not to broadcast adult content tonight. I am joined by Sean. What is Sean doing?
I had a hangy I had to cut off.
Okie dokie.
It's fabric.
We also have Walt.
What's up, y'all?
There's the Walt Man, the uncanny Walt Man. And we have Beth.
Hey there.
Pay particular notice to the fancy mic that she has. The upgrade.
That's no moon.
That's
Station.
exactly right. That's a funky
Great.
deal.
I think I have now named my microphone the Death Star. Thank you, Walt.
Wow, that's nice.
You're welcome.
Very
You're
well.
welcome.
Very good. And we are excited to present Michael Pickard, comic artist and writer. We have been circling his universe for about a year, following UltraMax, and he's got 3 comics coming out in the next month and a half. I mean, one wasn't enough?
It was not. No, I'm a bit of a lunatic in that regard.
I mean, holy cats, 3 Kickstarters in 2 months. Really about a month and a half, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the first 2, what we're going to get into in a little bit, starting tomorrow, and then the 3rd one dropping in October, it's literally going to be the first 2 end, and the 3rd one is going to hit like 1-2 punch the next day or within the next few days after.
You might be a masochist.
It's hard to say. A lot of people, of course, when I was telling people like, oh, I have 2 Kickstarters running at the same time, they were like, are you trying for one of them to fail? Are you trying to bet against themselves? And I was like, no, I'm just, I believe in both of them, whether that's crazy or not. So.
Well, we'll talk more about that here in just a second. Let's see. We got a couple of comments already. Ronnie says, howdy. Wow, Ronnie's here on the spot.
Wow.
Ronnie.
What are you?
I guess Michelle wants adult content. That's a different podcast. I can provide that in other places, but maybe not here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you were trying Thursday.
I was not trying.
So what are you on, Ronnie?
Not trying. What is he, what?
I was just wondering what Ronnie's on, that he's here so early.
You think he's on some sort of substance or something?
Possibly, maybe.
Interesting.
Is it caffeine?
It's
caffeine
probably
and sugar?
It's
Caffeine
probably
and...
not very exciting. It's probably like donuts or ham. He might be on ham.
On his diet, he won't be doing donuts.
Okay, then ham.
No, it's Ronnie, guys. Come on, he's smoking some good Shire leaf.
Yeah, what is
Shire
that?
leaf?
What is that stuff that Frodo smoked there? He's probably got some of that.
It's probably what he's got. He probably got it from Gandalf. We know Ronnie.
There you go.
Anyway, welcome, Ronnie.
Welcome, Ronnie.
You're here early.
We are broadcasting live on my Facebook account, which is that right there. We're also on YouTube, and we're also on Twitter. If you are watching us live, please share this to your live feed so that your platform becomes our platform, and feel free to give us some comments. We want to hear from you. Next week, we have our buddy, Robert Henry, and probably Joe Evans, and we're going to have our first Taskforce Geek launch party. We're going to have our own Kickstarter launch party for Bad Candy issue 3. Hey, Sean, do you have a cover on that?
Yes.
All right. So do I. So both Sean and I will have.
To be fair, I've done
Kickstarter.
Multiple covers for multiple books. So
I know that.
I don't remember
wasn't
this one I did a cover for, or if it was the other one.
I
know the other one I did a cover
thing with the
for.
guy who's standing there. Wasn't that from issue 3?
The one with the guy standing there.
There's a guy standing there. He says, "Be the hero." Wasn't that from 3?
That was a pinup. I don't think he's going to use that for the Is he going to use that for the cover?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
Hey, we'll find out next week.
Which
Exactly.
We will
Yes.
find out
further
next week.
illustrates that I have no idea if I
My
did a cover
point
for this
is
or not.
that both Sean and I have some work that's in this, that's going to be in this thing, and we're going to launch it next week. We're going to have the guy who wrote it, we're going to have the guy who drew it, and we're going to at least have Sean and I who did some work with it, and you can join us next week for that. It will be fun times. We've never done a launch party. We never participated in it and done that whole thing, and that's what we'll do next week, next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Be there.
Be there, be square. We might have Scott back again if Scott doesn't have a band function. Scott's kid joined band, and incidentally, so did Scott.
Scott is the band dad. Scott is the band
Scott
dad.
also joined a band at the same time. He
Hey,
just didn't know it.
I'm going to applaud Scott for being a band parent, seeing as I was a band nerd back in the day. So,
I mean, supporting his kids. That's
more power to you, Scott.
I mean, he's making his kid happy. There's probably no better reason to not be here tonight. On September 28th, and I mean that's sincerely, on September 28th, we'll have Doug Wood on again to talk about Leap M and another comic. He's been in the news lately with Action Labs, right? So we're looking forward to seeing what he's got coming up next. And we'll talk a little news with him. That's September 28th. All right. A few more comments, and then we'll get started here. Jerry is here. Hello, Jerry.
Hello,
Hey,
Jerry.
Jerry.
Ronnie says he took his Metamucil early before bed, and he's
All
ready for
right.
us tonight.
All right, Ronnie.
All right.
I'm gonna try to pronounce this correctly. Sunil. I'm gonna say, hearts to you also. Thank you for watching. All right, let's get on with our feature presentation.
Is this the picture you're talking about?
Yes. All right. Our feature presentation here is comic artist and writer Michael Pickard, who is the artist on UltraMax with Doug Wood, has 3 projects he's written, and they're all scheduled to release in September and October. The first 2, which is Heartland Blood and Vance LaunchPad. I can't wait to talk about Vance LaunchPad. Wait a minute. Stop the press. Look at that.
Oh,
Look,
you guys know how to flatter me.
how about this
Oh.
stuff? How about this?
Wow. I'm getting
Now,
sandwiched by
what do you think about
Ultramax
us now?
over here.
Oh, don't make me
Wow.
blush, guys.
How
Oh, this
about
is my
it?
first appearance on the show.
We're serious.
No, thank you so much. That's such an honor that you guys have have copies of the book. That's awesome.
Hey, that's what we're talking about here. I know that Sean has a copy too. Did you bring your copy?
Say no, Sean.
putting
Say
Sean
no.
on the
So
spot.
I don't feel so
You know
bad
what?
that I don't have one.
You know what?
Here's the thing.
Sean's
Sean-
name in the errata in the back,
Sean
know-
has so many Kickstarters in that room.
and I know that Scott bought one too.
I know I've got the digital, but I don't know if I've got the physical
All right,
He's got it.
available.
He's got
I
it.
understand.
It's somewhere in that room.
It's somewhere in here.
Sean gets 46 Kickstarters a week.
Just about.
I got one today.
He gets. I'm curious about what that is.
That's a
I'm
great
kind
way
of
to get your
curious
comics.
too.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Well, all right. So, look, Michael, let's go right straight to your first deal. We got at least 2 that we're going to cover tonight, and then we'll talk a little bit about your history and some other questions. And again, to the other panelists here, jump in anytime and ask questions if you want to. First, what we're going to do is ask you about this comic, which is Heartland Blood. You want to talk about that?
Heartland Blood is funny enough probably the right one to start with because it's the one that's been in development the longest. I graduated college in 2019 and immediately out of school got a job that was an hour away from home. So every day I had 2 hours worth of commuting, and those 2 hours were the one reprieve in the day where I got to really think about the comic pitches I wanted to do and the stories I wanted to tell. And so I developed Heartland as one of those pitches, kind of as a non-superhero route because I'm pretty obsessed with superheroes, but I needed to challenge myself a little bit and go, all right, what's non-superhero I could go with? And I developed Heartland, and that thought for this story festered in my head for about a year and a half. And then in the winter of 2021, January-ish, I turned to my good friend Nate Wells and I said, I think you might be the artist for this book. And he said, finish the script and I'll draw it. And that was the agreement.
Wow.
I finished the script for him, and now we have some of the best pages in Nate's entire portfolio that he poured his heart and soul into to get this pitch together.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. But Heartland Blood is a 4-issue miniseries about a woman named Laura Baker, single mother, who returns to her childhood home of Winehouse, Pennsylvania, in the wake of her parents' death. So she lived on a farm with her parents. They had an estranged relationship. And now that they've passed on, she has to go and prepare the property for sale. But as she starts to get acquainted with the new neighbors in the town, she starts to kind of get this feeling that it's not the same place it was before. It's not this hateful, resentful, segregated town anymore. It's a community. It's a utopia where neighbors share and they eat bread together. They literally break bread together in the first issue. But of course, everything is awry when there's a conspiracy that kind of gets laid in those first couple pages of the pitch, which you had up a second ago, Dirk. And it turns out there are vampires in the town. But it's a slightly unique take on the vampire trope. It's not like they've infested the area, so to speak. It's not like they've secretly taken over. The vampires actually are welcome members of the community. And that plays into the societal drama that plays out in the first issue. Very
cool. I like that.
See,
Sean,
he said vampire. I'm already in.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Let's see this. Let's see. What about? There we go. Sean, you want to space through that a little bit so that we can see some of that? That looks cool, man.
I love the coloring.
Yeah.
Who is your friend? Is named Nate. Who did this?
Yes, the artist on Heartland Blood is a guy named Nate Wells, who I met through just the online comic space, and I reached out to him, and we sort of formed a little band of misfit artists together, and we've all been really close friends. Yep, that's how it goes, and we've been close friends for the last year and a half now, meeting up every week to draw and talk and whatnot. But yeah, Nate is a phenomenal artist, just an inspiring creator for someone like me who's also in that same space. To see someone at my level creating work like this, it's incredible.
Is he doing the colors as well, or just pencils and inks? Or
Nate is a tour de force. He's doing the pencils, inks, colors, and he's doing the lettering on this one.
Wow, he's doing the whole show.
Yep. Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, one of the things that Nate, myself, and Johnny all share is we're all a little bit kind of crazy puppet masters in that regard. So we all do a little bit of everything. And especially in these books, because we're trying to limit it to the small teams that we're on, and in both cases it's just two creators, a writer and an artist. We all kind of had to balance out what we were doing on each project. But yeah, Nate handled all of the art duties on the book. The only things I did was write the script and design the logo on the front.
Yeah, nice. So how long is the story going to? How long is this particular issue, and then how long is the overall story that you have?
So each issue is 22 pages, and there's going to be 4 in total for Heartland Blood. Everything's all mapped out from beat to beat, from page to page. Of course, we are not going to put in the effort to make the second book until we can prove that the first one is successful. So we don't have too much of a head start on the series.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. But everything is mapped out. So in the situation that we do find an audience for it, we can just keep rolling with it and snowball it into something.
Yeah. Good choice on horror comics. Those tend to do quite well. And that artwork looks great.
Looks awesome. Looks really good.
Props to your friend.
I like the twist on the vampire trope as well, being, welcomed members of the community. It's a refreshing change.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, Nate, well, in those first couple pages, Nate, he knocked it out of the park, because in the first 5 pages I wrote in the script, two hillbilly vampires, one's thin, one's large, kind of like a classic Roald Dahl sort of illustration play where there's usually, like a thin and a contrarian large between two different characters. but Nate brought this weasel rat-like element to the thin one right there. And it's just incredible.
Hey, the draftsmanship here is really nice.
It's really good.
I like how he's moving the camera around, and I like the mood he's got with the color. You know.
Yeah, Nate his
good.
eye for everything is impeccable. He's one of those, I mean, both Johnny and Nate are two talents that in the next 10 years, they'll be household names in the comic industry. It's no question.
I like the flash of red there. I don't know what that is because I can't really see it, but I like the way it draws the eye.
There's a fun story behind that panel, actually.
It's a bat.
It's a close-in on the vampire bat that's on the cow there. And so I had written the script back in February, and Nate hadn't gotten to the pencils and inks until a little bit deeper into the summer. And so when Nate was sending me all this stuff, there was a lot of things that I had forgotten. And so when he sent me the pencils for that page, I was ecstatic over that close-in panel shot of the vampire bat. And I was like, Nate, you're a genius. This is so beautiful. And he was like, you wrote that into the script. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm a genius.
I'm the genius.
I'm the genius.
Exactly, right.
I'm the genius, but I've slept since I wrote the script.
Exactly.
That happens sometimes.
Thanks for being smart enough to remind me that I wrote that.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
I think that looks really cool. Do you guys have any questions about that comic or about when that's going to be released tomorrow on Kickstarter? Correct.
It is. Both the two books we're talking about, firstly, Heartland Blood and Vance LaunchPad, drop 9/8.
You're launching them both tomorrow.
I really do love the artwwork in that one.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Wait until
for
you
that
see
one
this
for
next
sure.
thing. I'm pooping my pants over this next thing. That's why I saved it for a second. There's the Kickstarter address on that. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the Kickstarter address on that for Heartland Blood. What's that?
Whenever you mentioned that you had written that in the script, whenever you're doing your script, do you describe each panel, or do you just lay out, this is the action that I want on this page, and then the illustrator breaks it up into whatever panels they see fit? How do you go about that?
So within these scripts, I specifically wrote them for both artists. So I did a little bit of differential writing techniques between the two. But generally speaking, I write the scripts as fleshed out as I would want a film script to be if I were going to be handling the art duties myself. And so I include like color choices, I include camera shots, layout options, but I give full credit to the artist in saying, I just wrote the script. I want you to just go with it. So feel free to rearrange, to set the panels as you see fit, combine panels, play with it. I wanted it to be very collaborative in that sense. And so I drafted it very tightly, but in a Play-Doh sense so that they could come in and tweak where they felt and make it their own.
I've worked with some script writers that have no description whatsoever. It's just here's a scene, here's dialogue, here's a scene, here's dialogue, here's a scene, here's dialogue, with no description as to how I worked with one writer in particular that didn't even break it down into individual pages, just box, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this. And it was up to me to break it up into individual pages and so on and so forth.
It's kind of the Marvel method, the old Marvel method. I don't know if they still do that, but kind of the Stan Lee thing.
That was, especially whenever time is a thought, it's like, dear God, how do I break this up? How do I divide this into pages? So I was just curious how you set that up for your guys.
Yeah, I tried to be as tight for myself as possible so that they weren't questioning like how a character moved from one panel to another, for example, or changed locations. But no, like Dirk, you had mentioned the Marvel method. As an artist in my own right, I've never understood it, because how, like, for example, if they're just like big reveal in panel 3 and I draw a character who's making the reveal and they're like shocked by it, then I've totally messed up the whole sequence of events there, and I wouldn't know.
And I mean, the writer has the quickest job here, folks. I mean, I don't have to tell, a bunch of artists how long it takes to do, one page, much less 22 pages. If the writer could help out a little bit in that regard, it would be appreciated.
I think a little bit of it, like some people need to at least learn about what is it? Now I can't think. Now I can't get the term off the top of my head. But storyboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Storyboarding. Because I've dealt with a lot of people who know how to do storyboards, like and they would sketch it out, little storyboards or whatever, and then I would go from there. And then some would be like, you can put as many panels on this page, whatever, but be sure you get from this point to this point. I'm like, okay, cool, and make sure it lines up with the script. But the descriptors are very important.
On the other hand, I've had writers who want me to do 10 panels per page, and it's like, this is not going to look good.
Yeah.
If I have to, unless that's the point. I mean, like Matt Wagner could probably pull that off and make it look cool. But if you have aliens attacking in panel 1, and then a mummy coming out of the tomb in panel 2, and then someone drinking some coffee in panel 3, and all that sort of stuff, you might want to break that up a little bit.
Oh, don't forget the shocked crowd in that 10-panel page.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Plus half page has to be the shocked crowd.
Right.
Yeah, and it has to have at least 100 faces that can be clearly read.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. It's going to have cameos in it.
Yeah.
In perfect perspective.
Yeah.
Good times.
So from an author's perspective, it almost sounds like any author with a modicum of knowledge of script writing, actual screenwriting, could make it a lot easier on their artist by doing what you did, Michael, which really, specify everything out. I can see where that would make the collaboration so much easier.
Right, and it's the screenwriting element. That's what it really comes down to. Is most of my writing studies have come from screenwriting books or reading screenplays.
That
I have a hard time.
Very well.
Yeah, I have a hard time reading any book that doesn't have pictures. So it's quicker for me. It's easier. I get it better in my head when I can read enter panel or enter frame, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So screenwriting is really the one thing. And it does benefit me that I have that art background to be able to compose shots for the description, even if the artist doesn't go with them. But it's a visual medium. And I think people forget that all of the time, that yes, the writer is important, but the writer is more important in the sense that they're the architect. They have the blueprint for the building.
Yeah,
exactly. They put the foundation down, and the artist is the one who actually has to do the constructing. And if the math is wrong, who's really on? Is it the architect or the builder? So you do have to be aware of that kind of stuff.
And a writer should be aware of their limitations on that. I mean, a writer may be brilliant as far as doing dialogue or doing plots or whatever, but maybe they don't understand. I mean, sequential art is its own thing. And it's important to, for example, if you don't know how to do sequential art and you're writing the thing, maybe the good idea is to leave that up to your artist who should understand sequential art. If both of you don't understand sequential art, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
right. Absolutely.
You're going to have a bunch of splash pages. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, this is no knock at anybody looking for artists, but I know that if you're a writer out there who has written a prose novel or a prose story and wants an artist to translate it into comics, it'll help to do the work a little bit beforehand to say what, at the very least, goes on each page of the comic. Because I've applied for positions where it's a prose novel being translated to a comic, and it's a 300-page novel that they want as a 60-page graphic novel.
Yeah,
you have to know know how to take that novel
So
and break
true.
it down into a 60-page screenplay. You have to have that ability. And I was lucky when I went for my master's degree. I took a class on screenwriting, so I have a good idea of what needs to be done. But screenwriting and that kind of translation, that's an art form in and of itself. It really is.
Sean, let's bring up that second deal and let's talk about that. Give him a few moments.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know that you have several people, Michael, that have signed up for a, even if it's not launched, they can go there and say, hey, when you launch this thing, we're going to give you a notification so that you won't have to search around for it or anything. So if, for anyone out there who's seeing this and they're interested in these things, you can go there right now and you can sign up for it. And then when it drops tomorrow, there you go. When it drops tomorrow, you'll be notified right off the bat, and you can help it. What's the on the first one? What's your goal on that one? Heartland Blood.
For Heartland Blood, I mean, this is actually something interesting to get into in terms of the whole Kickstarter crowdfunding element. Is that I can't, as an individual, run more than one campaign at a time. So ideally, my thought was, okay, I'll run.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I didn't either until a couple weeks ago, and I was hoping to run them at the same time, but what happened was I couldn't. So my collaborators had to then be the creators on Kickstarter for running the campaign. But the problem that lied is that Johnny, who is going to be the illustrator on Vance LaunchPad, the co-creator on that title, he's located in Wales. And so because of his location, his currency is set to Great British pounds. And so our goals are equivalent as much as they could be based on what Kickstarter allows. So Heartland Blood being located in the United States with Nate is a set goal of 3,500, I believe. It might be a little bit lower if I'm forgetting it correctly. But then for Vance LaunchPad, the goal is 4,000 British pounds, which equation wise is like practically lined up. It's a little bit more, maybe it's 3,700 to account for
any in the ballpark.
Yeah, any exchanges we might have to make because of transferring funds and how that's going to work out. We've included a buffer zone of some extra cash that if we don't, or if we have to make these allocations to exchange rates or anything, we have some buffer in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I didn't know that you couldn't run two at a time. That's very interesting.
Right. And you can't start a second until the first one is fulfilled fully.
I see.
So another issue that could have arisen was that we hadn't fulfilled the projects yet because, of course, with UltraMax, you guys know, it takes a long time and hitting deadlines is not easy.
Yeah.
And so in the situation that we didn't hit the deadline to get those books out, it would put the third book that I have coming out by myself in October on hold until I could get those done. So it did have some pros and cons to the fact that we were able to split up who was running the campaigns for each, but it also has a lot of new balls to juggle because of it.
Probably some benefits there to having different creators and stuff. Because as you know, each team brings their own group of people, that are going to support them and stuff. And so, maybe there's an advantage there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is Vance LaunchPad. Let's talk about this, please.
So Vance LaunchPad, to springboard off of Heartland, because I had mentioned Heartland was the first one and the longest one in development.
Sean, could you get in there a little tighter on that?
Vance LaunchPad started out as, well, I offered Nate an art job with me. I can't leave Johnny out of the picture. So I turned to Johnny and I said, hey, let me come up with a plot for you. And of course, growing up, you make up superheroes with your friends and your cousins and brothers and whatnot. But my cousin and my brother and I had this superhero universe we came up with when we were younger. But the one name that always stuck around was Vance LaunchPad, and he was a space hero. And we were just like, the name was so great, and we would always, we even still to this day quote it, and we'd be like, Vance goddamn LaunchPad. It was like, we were mining coal, and we found a diamond. It was amazing. It's just this great punch of a name. And so I turned to my brother and cousin, and I said, do you mind if I use the name? And they were like, we're not doing anything with it. Go for it. So I crafted this story, and I was thinking to myself, what would I do with Vance LaunchPad? And what it ended up being is this story about Vance, who right here on the page, the titular hero himself, dashing space hero, cosmic adventurer, is actually a bit like Rip Van Winkle, the classic parable of a guy who sleeps and wakes up years later. But what happens is Vance LaunchPad is a space hero in the vein of Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, that sort, Adam Strange. And in this sequence, we see he's fighting this giant space Nautilus. And I won't spoil it, but something happens to Vance. And when he gets back out of the situation, his robot companion there, JDA, is floating adrift in space, frozen and rusted. And Vance is like, JDA, what's going on? And he kind of comes back to life, and he's like, sir, you've been gone 20-something odd years. And so Vance rushes home to his son Brian, who we see on the screen there. And this is where the duality of visuals comes into play, because I had this idea for what if Judge Dredd hung out with Flash Gordon. How weird would that be?
That's an interesting pair. That is the odd couple.
Yeah.
And so Brian is a police officer in the fictitious California town of Port Stella, which is now being overrun in the inner city districts by a robot gang known as the Factory Models, who are a gang comprised of like discarded robots. And so if you look at the cover, like the one robot has a Hawaiian shirt on, but they're all kind of junky and robots that have kind of found this family amongst this robot gang. But so the plot is about Vance showing back up on Earth and his son Brian being the same age as him. And of course there's this estranged relationship of, you've been gone adventuring for my entire life, I don't need you in my life, that kind of estrangement. And of course Vance is just, it was 2 years ago that he left. Like none of this should have happened. And so he's emotionally trying to cope with it. And he ends up agreeing to work with Brian, his son, to take down the robot mafia. So that's where the plot really starts to thicken, and things go a little bit wrong from there.
Michael, I got to tell you, I like space stuff, and I like, you mentioned about 4 or 5 people there that I also like. And I like the combination, but so this is already very, and I had that same visceral reaction to the name Vance LaunchPad.
Yeah, same here.
As you were talking about, when I first heard it, it's like, hell yeah. But let me tell you something. This artwork is really cool, as far as I'm concerned. Again, great draftsmanship, but also great style on this thing. Let's talk a little bit about the artist.
So Johnny Wise is my collaborator on this title. And one of the things that I think for me really stands out about Johnny is he feels like Bill Everett, who is a classic comic book illustrator, co-creator of Daredevil. His style is very similar to Johnny's in the sense that they have this classical, handsome charm to them. But Johnny's work is modern and a little bit punk to it, which I think is what he likes to bring to it. He kind of has like a punk attitude to himself, but he's got this interesting flavor combination in that sense, which kind of like the story mashes up, pulp and dystopian sci-fi. Johnny also kind of has that twist of flavors, but he was an excellent choice for this book. And like I've said with both Nate and
really
Johnny,
right on target for artist choice here, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfectly.
Johnny killed these pages. Absolutely. And the design of Vance LaunchPad, he nailed perfectly, because we were spitballing back and forth based on Heartland not really having a superhero, like in a design aesthetic that had to be made, that had to be like that graphic, I'll call it merchandise element. Not that we're merchandising any of this, but Vance had to be iconic, right? And Johnny pulled that suit out, and the only input I had on it was maybe like a rocket shooting off as like a logo or something like that. But he and Nate both went far and beyond anything I could have asked for with these books, and they're incredible. Like, these books need to happen just for the artwork alone, let alone my involvement on them. They're just incredible art pieces.
I'm totally digging the retro feel of Vance LaunchPad.
Yeah, there's that Rocketeer,
there's
Commando
the
Cody
Kickstarter address for that.
The Flash Gordon, the Buck Rogers feel, totally digging that.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah,
in fact,
Johnny,
I just got finished watching the old Flash Gordon a few days ago. So
how much?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Then you'll probably like this book then.
How much is Johnny Wise doing on this? Is he doing the whole boat on that, or?
So this is a funny thing, because of how loose the collaboration kind of sense was. I told the guys I kind of just wanted to be as hands off as they needed me to be. So I took a step back and let Johnny go with it. And of course, Nate was handling lettering, and so I didn't even think about Vance LaunchPad or anything. Johnny comes back to me with the finished pages, and he goes, "Do I need to letter these?" And I go, "How much lettering have you done before?" Yeah. And he was like, "I've never really lettered anything." And I was like, "Well, fortunately, I just did all 98 pages of UltraMax lettered myself, so I'll handle the lettering." So all of the typographic elements within Vance LaunchPad were my own.
But he's doing pencils, inks, and colors.
He is. Yep. We entirely just 2-man teams on both projects, an artist and a word guy.
How do you happen to run into two guys that are so damn talented?
Well, that's
and hang out with, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I'd mentioned to you guys off air, but for those of you who don't know, I run a podcast called Ink, Drink, Think here on YouTube, which is a drink and draw podcast. We hang out, have some drinks, pick a topic, and we'll discuss the topic, but also draw it live on camera for you. Well, it's edited, but we're live doing it. But in doing so, this was actually, to jump back a little bit, during the pandemic, my girlfriend was like, you need to have a podcast where you can go and talk to comic book people and not me about Spider-Man and his love life. And so
that's the mother of invention there. Please talk to your people about this.
Exactly. She's like, there's somebody who cares more about this than I do, so maybe you could go find those people. And it was sage advice. Love you, Alyssa, but it was very sage advice. And so my brother actually bought me this microphone last year as a gift, and so I went about finding guys to do a podcast with. And I'd followed both Nate and Johnny on Instagram just by happenstance, and not to mention our fourth co-host, Todd Blackwood. He did not collaborate with me on these books, but he's also part of the podcast. I can't leave out Todd.
Yeah.
But I was just a big fan of their art styles, and I reached out and I was like, you guys want to try doing a podcast? We'll draw, we'll hang out. And we ended up doing a test session where we hung out for a couple hours, and we clicked. And the weird thing is that people would comment and be like, oh, have you guys known each other since college, or like were you guys friends since childhood or anything like that?
Right.
And we had only known each other for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There was this weird magic that happened between the four of us.
I get it.
And yeah, it shows in the projects too. Like we've now known each other for over a year now, my collective of friends in Ink, Drink, Think, and they're some of the closest friends I've ever had. And it's awesome to have people who I looked up to their art. That's why I wanted to hang out with them and kind of steal what I could from them secretly.
Sure.
But of course, they're just incredible artists. And I wanted to pick their brains about it and whatnot. And it just so happened that they were in the same boat. They were fans of mine.
It makes you better.
Exactly. And in doing the
iron
podcast,
sharpens iron.
Exactly. Yes. In doing the podcast, we've all grown exponentially in our art skills. Even UltraMax shows in that way. Whereas I was doing issue 1 right when I had met the guys, and then subsequently issues 2 through 4, I just exploded in what I was doing, ink wise, pencil wise, and it just grew from there. But it's due to the fact that once a week I would hang out, have a couple drinks with these guys, and just practice and just hit the hammer. And that's the only reason I'm here today, is because they were there to help me grow as an artist. Yeah. And now they're doing these books with me.
I met Sean and Scott and Robert exactly the same way, and we hit it off in exactly the same manner. It's like we've known each other for 20 years.
There's something about the nerd space that happens. There's always headlines, of course, about like division and gatekeeping or Marvel versus DC, but I've really found that for the most part, people in comics and people who love comics they just want to find people who also like comics and nerdy shit.
Right.
Yeah. So we can hang out and actually find the people that know what you're passionate about and understand it.
Yep.
So I think it's a tale as old as time. If you're a nerd, you're not alone. You're really not alone.
Yeah, you have a shared experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's enhanced if you're a writer or an artist who's interested in doing this stuff, because you have shared goals, and you also and to be honest with you, a lot of people who are into comics want to draw or write comics. It seems like there's not a lot of people actually do that, but it does seem like there's a lot of crossover into, man, I wish I could draw Spider-Man or whatever. Even if that never happens, people have the dreams to do that sort of thing. Let's go back a little bit and talk about you as an artist and how you got involved in doing comics in the first place.
So comics was always the end goal. That was from day one. I vividly remember being 7 years old, and I was like, it's either comics or zoology.
You can actually put those together.
Yeah, I could at some point. I do like drawing dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. See?
Yeah. But I knew from that age I wanted to do comics. That's all it ever was comics. And of course, growing up, I just drew superheroes all the time, and I would draw my own little comic strips and whatnot. But then it actually wasn't until I was 16 years old. I was working a job at the Jersey Shore, and my brother had gone off to school, so I was living at the Shore House alone. And I was like, I'm going to go buy a comic book. There's a comic book shop or a newsstand I used to buy comics from as a kid. I'll go grab some copies. So I went and bought Flash number 21 from the New 52. It's a beautiful Francis Manipool cover. It's this striking all red graphic with the Flash in yellow, and his shadow is a lightning bolt, and then in the lightning bolt is the reverse Flash. It's a beautiful cover, and it just blew my mind. And and Francis Manipool is an incredible illustrator, and it changed everything. I looked at it and I thought, I've wanted to do comics my whole life, and now I'm actually holding one in my hand and recognizing that there's a lot of work that I have to do to get here, as opposed to just taking the high school art classes I was in or doodling in the corners of notebooks. And so I ended up quitting athletics in high school and trying to focus more on my art. And that kind of led me towards graphic design school, which I majored in kind of a dual major. So I'm kind of half graphic design, half illustration in terms of my skill set.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, and it was marketable because when I graduated school, I was able to get a job quickly. And of course, illustration is so difficult. It's not, you can't do advertising in the same way anymore that a traditional illustrator used to do magazine illustrations for whatever beauty product or whatever medical product. It's just not a hot commodity anymore. And being a traditional illustrator, pencil and ink, ink and wash type work, I was like, well, the only way I'm going to do comics or have any career in illustration is if I actually take a leap of faith on it.
Yeah.
And so I left my graphic design job towards the beginning of the pandemic and started putting out artwork and trying to get pitches together. And that's when I actually met Doug Wood, friend of the show. Who was looking
friend
for
of the show. That's a good way of putting that.
Friend of the show, Doug Wood. I love Doug. Doug is great.
Doug is great.
Such a sweetheart. Doug is one of the kindest people. He's such a kind soul.
Yeah. He's a force of good.
Oh, absolutely. His Twitter alone is a hub of connecting people.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, Doug's amazing. And he was putting out online, he was like, well, I'm looking for an artist to do this book. And at the time, I was kind of getting antsy. I hadn't really landed any gig or any pitch project. And so I hit Doug up and I said, hey, I'm open. Send me the script. So he sent me the first issue of UltraMax, the script. And I was extremely desperate to get the job and work with him. and so I started doodling some stuff right away. Of course the script was fantastic. So I jumped into some of the designs and characters. And I think the one that really got me on Doug's radar in terms of, oh, he's serious about this, was that in the script, there's a character whose street name is the Dog. And I didn't realize he didn't intend it to be this way. And so I drew
to actually be a dog.
Right. So I drew a Killer Croc Bulldog man.
Oh, wow. I like that character.
I know that character. Yeah.
Yeah. And I sent it to Doug and I was like, fun idea. This is how I imagined him, like a bulldog. And Doug was like, he was just a dude in the script. That's a great idea. And from there, Doug was like, I think you were the guy. And I was like, let's do it then. So we put our sample pages together. We found a colorist. Our first colorist was Renan Lino, who we ended up going a different direction with the coloring halfway through the first issue, and we hired Warnia, who finished the book. But yeah, it was a great collaboration in that sense, and we hit our funding goal when we ran a Kickstarter for it. And I think Doug was a little bit hesitant after his pitching experience with Leap M, for example, that he was like, let's just go to Kickstarter. That's the route for it. So we didn't pitch it to publishers until we had the first issue done. And I think it worked out in our favor. We have interest, or we do have a contract with a publisher. I don't know how much. I'll leave it to Doug to talk about.
All right.
Because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I will let Doug handle it when you guys talk to Doug next.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks.
Right, exactly. But then from there with UltraMax, it was kind of that halfway point of the book where I turned to my friends and started thinking about what was going to happen next, because after UltraMax, I had nothing lined up. And having Doug's scripts as like a basis, I was like, okay, I know how to write. I'm a creative writer. Let me use Doug's formatting of how he writes scripts to kind of develop. And so I actually used Doug's formatting for script writing in writing these scripts. And it's an awesome way of writing in terms of how he has everything structured. It's very clear, very fluid, easy to work within. Like there's not a lot of editing you have to do to the page to make it set up. And that's how these comics came to be. And I couldn't be happier with my situation in that regard. Like these books are incredible, and whether they happen or not through Kickstarter, just the 5 pages we got to do alone and the scripts I wrote are nothing to rub off your shoulder. They're beautiful and they're incredible. So it's been a ride, but that's been my journey so far.
That's great.
You have the unique experience of working on both sides of the deal. So you've been a writer and you've worked with other artists, and you've been an artist and you've worked with another writer. Compare those experiences.
I think one of the things I would actually really like to stress in terms of being a writer is that I probably would consider myself an artist first and foremost, but in comics as a whole, you're a storyteller. And whether you're doing it through the visual art or through word just spoken like this, you have to be able to communicate clearly and elaborate on what your concept is. So my benefit in that regard is that I was able to approach writing with my art background. So I think like Alan Moore, for example, wanted to be a comic book illustrator. Mark Miller, another writer who wanted to draw comics. I think having that basis in art was kind of I'll call it a jump up the ladder for me, because I didn't have to worry about my own ability to create compelling layout or compelling scene structure or even like fight choreography, because I had that already. So for people watching this who are interested in me as a writer who don't have that art background, I think it would benefit you, just even like you guys had said with storyboarding, either learning storyboarding or even just learning film composition would really help in terms of writing scripts for somebody else to tackle visually. It's extremely important. Doug is an excellent thumbnailer. He would thumbnail the pages. He did for the first issue, at least he thumbnailed what he wanted for the page layouts. And like me with my collaborations, he let me have the freedom to kind of go from there and make it my own.
It's always a good idea. Let the artist have a little freedom. You know.
Doug was excellent with that too. For anybody who's an artist out there who wants to work with Doug, I'm sure he has a script in the wings waiting. So if that's what you're looking for, work with Doug. He's a fantastic writer.
What inspires you? What are your favorite comics?
Oh, that's a great question. Oddly enough, this is I bring them up all the time. My friends who are watching this are going to be like, "Oh my God, this guy again." There's an artist named Tony Salmons, who's very niche within comics. He was kind of
Tony. You named someone I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The only person I've ever met who's known of Tony Salmons is my friend Todd Blackwood, who I do Ink Drink Think with. And Todd's a little bit older than I am, and so he has more recollection of like 80s comics. But Tony Salmons was a guy who came up in the 80s and is almost a direct lineage of Jack Kirby in my mind, in the sense that Kirby was a geometric, pushing boundaries of anatomy and shape kind of artist, and Tony Salmons is very much the same way. I discovered him in college while just researching comic book art, and I stumbled upon like a sketch he had done, I think of the Hulk, and I was just blown away. It's the most beautiful Hulk drawing I'd ever seen. And I ended up, that's some of Tony Salmons' work. One thing that's really dynamic is he pushes the boundaries of the foreshortening so extreme that there's such an advanced perspective going on with what you're visually taking in. And it just blew my mind. But even today, I am trying to build a catalog of Tony Salmons books. I don't have that Doctor Strange. I just ordered Dakota North today, actually, because I didn't have it in my collection. So that is on its way from Amazon now. But I just bought his Marvel Fanfare work where he did a Daredevil cover. I own that issue of Batman. Actually, wait, that's Batman Black and White that he did. But he also did a Legends of the Dark Knight issue, which is fantastic.
Cool.
He did a bunch of Conan shorts.
I've probably got that Legends of the Dark Knight issue myself.
Oh, when we have the chance, I'll try to find it for you in my backlog of books. But yeah, it's he's one of those artists that just never seemed to catch the public attention, and it's a crying shame because he's so dynamic. But he's one who I reference all the time. And then, of course, the greats in regards to Frank Miller.
This piece.
I do too. I was going to say the same thing. What was that?
That was published in Savage Sword of Conan.
Okay.
I remember that one vividly.
I do too.
In fact, that means I know exactly who this illustrator is. He's illustrated, I believe, 2 short stories or backup stories in Savage Sword that were really, really amazing. There were some portions of the illustration I didn't like how, like the legs looked really big in this panel, and then in the next panel it was like he forgot to put legs on the guy. But then the storytelling itself and the illustration, amazing stuff. I may try to find that while we're conversing.
I actually, believe it or not, in my stack of graphic novels I have to pull from right there, I actually have 2 of his books that I own. He did a short vigilante run for DC in the 90s.
Oh, wait a minute. I may have picked that up.
Yeah, there are some incredible panels in here. Like this one is one I always reference with him on horseback. Let's see if I can manage to get that in frame.
Yeah.
But he's such a wild illustrator. And Sean, kind of the note you were talking about is like he's not afraid to make characters look different from panel to panel.
Right.
And that was something I really appreciated. Was kind of like a sigh of relief.
It's dynamic.
It's dynamic, absolutely. But there was also that sigh of relief of like Mazzucchelli, of course, one of the greats. I have Born Again right next to me as well.
Yeah, I love David Mazzucchelli. Mazzucchelli? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not the man to pronounce it correctly.
I'm not either.
But I really appreciate that Tony Salmons was one of those first artists for me to be like, you don't have to make him look identical on page to page in the same way that David Mazzucchelli does.
Well, even someone who's like an expert draftsman will make Superman's cape look a certain length in one thing, and then the next thing it's like 20 feet long.
Yeah,
right. it will change. That's one of the magic elements of comics is that you can exaggerate that sort of thing, and they can, you can change things up, especially if it's a conscious decision, if it's something that you're doing to be dynamic or to mix things up.
He's got some G.I. Joe credit here too.
He does. I don't own those actually. Those are on my to get list as well.
I've got it. I've probably got everything that he's done.
I'm going to check this guy out. You've given me someone new to look for.
I'm not finding the pages that I was looking for, but I remember at the time whenever they came out, this would have been, 83, 84, when I was really, nerd deep into my Savage Sword phase. I love it was different than what John Buscema was doing and Ernie Chan and all the other great illustrators. It had its own flair, its own style, and his inking technique. It was loose. It wasn't super tight. He wasn't just pouring a bunch of detail into the illustrations. He was allowing the image to just kind of, as I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say. It lent itself very well to if you wanted to go in with textures or with color or anything like that. It wasn't just so oversaturated with detail. Enough was there to tell the story, and that was it. Moving on. He didn't really bombard you with a lot of visual stuff. Illustrators nowadays, I don't think they really understand or appreciate the skill that came from being able to illustrate something in black and white and still relay that message. A lot of illustrators starting from like the late 90s, early 2000s, they seemed to be so dependent on the colorist to come in and fix everything.
And fix it, yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked many times about how color can make you or break you.
So
Absolutely.
his stuff really was, at that time, was really just very, very inspirational, you know, to coin a phrase. Just, you know, you study how he's defining the musculature and the framing of the panel and whatnot. Really good stuff.
Yeah, he's an incredible talent. I'm always trying to get. I've actually tried to reach out to him like 100 times over the years. Like once a year, I don't have a date for it, but I'll feign that I do. That it's one day a year where I type up a message to him. I go, Mr. Salmons, I'm such a big fan. It would mean the world if you could critique. Yeah, I do. I sent one out to him a couple months ago on an old Gmail that I found on like a Reddit page. It was like a blog page for like comic book commissions from like 2005, and so it was this super outdated website. And it was like, here's Tony Salmon's Hotmail, and I was like, I gotta email him, and I never heard back from him. So I don't know if it's a defunct email, but he's kind of off the grid from what I can tell in terms of the online comic space, and I've never been able to get a hold of him. But that interview you actually brought up first from Michael Fife or Fief, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. He's the artist on Copra. It's an excellent interview, and I highly recommend it because it talks about kind of the thing of comics will break your heart, kid, from Jack Kirby, and how he, like Tony Salmons, should have been a guy who was a household name. He was right there with,
I agree,
with John Romita Jr. and Buscema and all these guys, and it just didn't land. It just didn't click for the public, and it was just a crying shame because he was just as good as the rest.
I will say, you know, since I brought up the G.I. Joe thing, G.I. Joe 69, he did the issue that introduced Destro's new look with the gold mask. So when Destro broke away from Cobra and had his own force. So I'm just going to throw that out there. You'll want that one. You'll want that issue.
I got to find that.
I have it. So
I'm going to show this right here. This is UltraMax. This is the thing. It's thick, folks. It's 4 issues, right? So here's some of the artwork that's in it. Pretty cool. Let me show another page, just randomly. There's that dog guy.
Yeah.
My claim to fame is going to be him.
Look, you did 4 issues. How long did it take you to get through that? That's a lot. That's not easy. How long does it take you to do a page? And what was the experience like of pumping out 4 issues? That's not a joke.
It's actually a great question, especially because of the book I'm currently working on. UltraMax was the largest thing I'd ever done. Even going into it with Doug, the longest thing I'd ever done was 5 pages. So so to go from 5 to be like, I've done 5 pages. I could do 98. I can do 20 times this amount. This will be fine. It'll be a breeze. What's interesting is one thing that I've found in terms of the art process is just the fact that my own neuroses make me want to be very editorial in terms of saying like, oh, this here, that there, direction wise, which is something I tried to work on with my current collaborations and saying like, I'm hands off, you guys, it's all you. But it's difficult when it's your own artwork, for example. So collaborating with a colorist was something I'd never done before UltraMax. And one of the difficult things for myself was editing the book. So one of the things for me was getting pages back from the colorist and then having to provide all of my comments on each page and each panel on each page, or light direction or color correction. Any of those things. So I was actually acting in a very editorial way, like art direction way on UltraMax. So it took me longer than I had initially planned, than any of us had initially planned, really.
Sure.
For penciling. So my page for penciling and inking is that I can pencil a page for myself, not for somebody else, in terms of how much detail they would need within 2 hours typically. And I can ink a page in roughly 3.5, 4. I use a 3-tier grid. In UltraMax, I used it as well. Actually, I can show you the page I was working on today.
Yeah, great.
So this is for a book. Yeah, this is the book that I haven't.
So you're working analog.
I am. Yeah, I'm very traditional. I have a Wacom, but it's very difficult for me to break from pencil and ink. There's just something I love about it. I love the tactile of pencil on paper.
I get it.
But this is a good example in terms of my workflow. So this is a 3-tier page. So there's one row, a second row, and then a third row. This is using my 6-panel layout technically. So it's kind of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there are 2 panels down here at the bottom.
Right.
But for a given page on my own, I can pencil and ink it in a day's worth of work, for example.
Okay.
But for this project, Duck Bill, which
it's pretty quick.
It is quick, but what I've learned, especially through UltraMax, is how to develop my style correctly. And UltraMax is great for this. I not from the benefit of it's my book and I want you to buy it, but UltraMax I think is an interesting study for somebody to look at and go, first issue does not look like the last issue.
True.
And one thing that happened was with the publisher who we've signed with UltraMax, we had wanted to give them this deadline, and so I had 14 pages left in the book to do in 2 weeks. So I literally had to crank out a page a day of penciling, inking, and lettering, because I lettered the book as well.
Right.
And those last 14 pages are kind of the style I'm now working in.
Okay.
Because at the beginning of UltraMax, I was kind of loose. I was a little more Tony Salmons. I was putting more ink down and heavier with it in spots. And then issues 2 and 3, I was very scratchy. I was using a lot of line to define the shapes and whatnot, because I thought, oh, well, if I can just scratch the lines in quickly, I'll move quickly. But that wasn't the case either. But that 14-day stretch at the end, where I kind of figured out how to ink my own pencils correctly, I'll call it, was like the biggest learning jump I had made across the entire book. It was like from page 1 to page maybe like 80, I was moving from like level 5 to level 25, and then those last pages I jumped to level 30. So I like doubled what level I was artistically.
You leveled up.
Yeah, just to throw numbers on it. I now I'm a mage warrior class 3 with a
there you go.
staff. But yeah, it was an interesting learning experience in that regard. But with the page speeds and whatnot, this book that I'm doing, Duck Bill, I'm doing digital zipatones on it as opposed to coloring.
Okay.
I do color my own work, but for pages, I have not colored any because it's so much different to do a pinup or a cover as opposed to panels that have to work in a layout together, not just tell a story. They have to graphically look right. I'm doing digital zipatones on this, and that adds a little bit more time, probably an extra hour and a half. So even still, with that said, it's typically like an 8-hour process per page for Duck Bill, at least.
I mean, that's a good speed.
Yeah,
it's a good speed. And if you're going to do 22 pages, you're going to probably need to be right at that target.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially with these 2 Kickstarters I have going with Heartland Blood and Vance LaunchPad, I've written my part of the book, so I'm very hands off in that regard from what I have to do to finish them. But in that time that the campaigns are running, I'm going to be finishing Duck Bill here for the launch in October. So that'll be a great buffer period in terms of figuring out how to kind of balance the workflow between writing, running Kickstarters, and also being an illustrator in my own right, because I can't just give up on the art because writing is quicker. I still have to express myself that way.
So kind of as a final question here for your segment, what advice would you have for someone who is interested in getting into the comic business? You've done, Kickstarters. Obviously, you're into that. Would you suggest people do Kickstarters, or would you suggest approaching someone like Doug, who's got some stuff going on? Or do you think maybe there's still some room to maybe put together a 5-page package and send it off to Dark Horse or something? What would be your advice?
I have a new conspiracy theory that's only come up because of Heartland Blood and Vance LaunchPad and even Duck Bill, actually. We had sent them all out to publishers as 5-page pitches. Even 20 minutes before I got on the call with you guys, Image declined Heartland Blood.
Okay.
But my sneaking suspicion with the comic book industry as it stands right now is that a lot of publishers, not all of them, but a lot of them in the indie space seem to be only picking up projects that you've either fully completed off the bat, so there's no wait/need on their end to be editorial or to be on you about deadlines to get things done, but also having proven that it has an audience through something like Kickstarter. I think they're looking for that. And so for an advice, if you have a story that you think is marketable, that you think you can tell coherently through the visual medium, whether it's yourself as a creator, a team of collaborators, I say go to Kickstarter. It's, if anything, it'll allow you to successfully financially support the book while you're making it, which is, of course, a big thing in this field because comics don't pay much. But that for Kickstarter, absolutely, I highly recommend going a crowdfunding route or Patreon for that matter, Indiegogo, whichever you choose, just to ensure that your project will happen. Because, of course, when you get a rejection from Image or Dark Horse or anybody, it's going to be defeating. It's going to feel crushing on you to think, I put all this time and effort and they don't want it. I thought I was going to get that big eye on the cover. But you don't need it. You can do it yourself. And there are printing options available. And sure, it's extra work. You have to do marketing. If you don't like, I have the benefit of graphic design as an education. So I have that under my belt. So I've done all the marketing for these books. I did the logo design. So if you don't have those skills, you might have to hire someone to do them. So
and
there's
you should.
things. Absolutely.
Please.
You should. Yes, absolutely.
Don't bring up Microsoft Word and try to create your logo.
No, please God, no.
Oh gosh.
Illustrator or Photoshop. Probably not Photoshop, but Illustrator. 100%.
Illustrator. Yeah.
But for other advice in terms of getting into it, network. That is huge, and it's easily accessible in the comic space. You know, Nate and Johnny, who I'm doing the 2 books with, I just hit them up on Instagram one day and said, "Hey man, I like your work," and they're like, "I like your work too." And I said, "Want to hang out sometime?" And they're like, "Hell yeah, buddy!" So we hung out, had drinks, and now they're 2 of my best friends.
Yeah.
And we're making books together. So if you're a writer and you don't have an artist, put out a call. Say, "I've got a book I might want to do," and you might get 5 responses, you might get 20, but out of those 20, there might be 3 people in there that you really hit it off with, and you might use them on another project, even if they're not right for this first one. So just market yourself, put your work out. You know, I mean, we're all precious about our art, and of course, critiques can be difficult to go through. If someone says, you know, the foot is really not anatomically correct in panel 2, it can sting, but you got to put yourself out there, and people will respond. And at the same level too, people who are at your same artistic or notoriety level will find you, and you will be you'll be in a community in that same way, you know.
There's always going to be people that criticize things, regardless if you're an artist or an author.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was reading a review earlier where the woman enjoyed my book, but she said my Americanisms kind of bothered her. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, fair enough. You're a reader in Great Britain. Okay, fine. But guess what? I'm an American writing this book, so deal with my Americanisms. Yeah. You know,
right.
You learn to deal with some of the more nitpicking criticisms and just start to laugh about them. So the foot's not anatomically correct. Guess what? Still your foot. You know, as long as you are the one that is happy with it.
Yeah.
You know, rule of thumb, create for yourself and fans will follow. And I have found that to be successful. I think the guys have to. And you know, just keep on trucking.
Definitely.
Let's not forget that a guy like Jeff Johns, who is like the king of DC and could have anything published on there if he wanted it, who has been involved in the movies and television and everything, he is doing something over on Image. Yep. So, and other people like Tom King are moving over to Substack. So, you know, maybe having the Image Eye thing is not, you know, it's definitely an option and it has its advantages, but it also has disadvantages as well. So, you know, there's not the stigma that there used to be to self-publish stuff. There's some people that are self-publishing right now, and they're wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, or successful, where you know it might not have been the case years ago. They still own their stuff. There's no dishonor in doing it yourself.
We can probably thank the dissolving of the comics code way back in the day when that disappeared. Right.
Get rid of it.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next subject, but Michael, I know that you've got two things. How long are your campaigns running?
So the campaigns are both 30 days, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, September 8th.
Well, we invite you to check back in with us before these things terminate so that we can see kind of how your campaign's going and hopefully goose it a little bit. Both of these projects are excellent. So please get out there and help him out tomorrow.
We gotta throw out there that we have been known to send Kickstarters past their goal.
We can kick stuff across the finish line.
Yeah. We've been known to have some Kickstarters reach their goal while we are broadcasting.
Yep.
Wow.
So we've done it. Was it 3 or 4 times now? So
several times.
So definitely come back towards the end of those Kickstarters.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate the opportunity, guys, to come on and talk about these books, and I really appreciate the support you're giving them. Just in terms of the praise you have for them.
And this guy right here commenting. This guy right here commenting.
He will support stuff.
Oh yeah,
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy right there, Steve. Yeah.
He's on it. He's helped us kick some people across the finish line.
Yes.
I've subscribed to your YouTube channel, so I look forward to seeing some of that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
I told Michael that you were talking about doing kind of a drink and draw type thing too. So maybe we can have Michael on that. That would be cool, right?
Oh,
Maybe
I'd love to come back
crossover.
for anything drawing related.
Cool.
That would be fun to see.
All right, we're moving on to our next segment. All right. Well, Marvel had a good weekend, folks. Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings capped off Labor Day weekend at the box office with a bang. The superhero action adventure starring Canadian actor, I'm going to try to nail this, Simu Liu.
That's close.
Had an even bigger debut
close,
than expected, collecting $94.4 million in his first 4 days of release and setting a new high watermark for the holiday weekend. It broke a record.
Nice.
Disney on Sunday had projected that Shang-Chi would finish the extended weekend with $90 million from 4,300 theaters, but the film sold more tickets than anticipated on Monday, boosting its overall tally to just shy of the $100 million mark. In normal times, that wouldn't be much of a feat for an installment in the commercially beloved Marvel Cinematic Universe, but during the pandemic, it's on track to become one of the highest-grossing movies of the year.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm going to contribute to that tomorrow morning.
Can I get a show of hands on people who have seen it? Anyone has seen it? I've seen it. Okay, so we got 3 people who have seen it. My first question is, since we have seen it, let's get a short, spoiler-free review of the film. And for that, first I'll go to Sean.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler-free.
Okay.
Come on,
He
Sean,
said
you
he
can do
loved
this. You can do it.
Let me first start off by saying I hate people.
We know you do, man.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
The simple
Present
fact
company
is,
excluded.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. Present company.
The thing is, we know how a Marvel movie is put together. We know that there's going to be a mid-credit scene and then there's going to be an end-credit scene.
Right?
We know this. We've only been going to these for the last, 10, 12 years?
12 years, yeah.
So, as a movie goer, if after the movie is over and the credits begin, you get up, I hate you. I hate you so much.
How do you not know?
Because you are the people that are going to get online saying, what is this bull crap? I didn't know anything about. Well, if you had sat your ass down for another 5 minutes, not worrying about driving home at that point, just sit there and watch the damn movie.
Where's our
Appreciate
church
the
organ?
people. Yeah, I need organ music. You know, just sit there and appreciate the people that put their heart and soul into this film, and check out the extra stuff.
Right, you will
It's
be rewarded.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, now back to my review. I enjoyed this movie. I'm a big fan of martial arts films to begin with. I mean, I think anybody that knows me knows I have a vast library of Asian martial arts films. When I was an instructor teaching graphic design, I had shared a lot of my passion for martial arts films with the students, and they themselves had become kind of infatuated with them too. So, you know, I'm deeply digging on martial arts films, and I think they did justice with this. You know, if anybody knows the history of Shang-Chi, or as it was printed back in the 60s and 70s, Master of Kung Fu, the character's based on Bruce Lee and his mantra of martial arts being that there is no one style, there is only the act itself. And they illustrate that to a certain degree in here, as our hero becomes a master of many different practices. And it was beautifully shot, I thought. I liked the characters. It surprised me how much I liked some of the characters. Some of the characters I didn't think I was going to like as much as I did, and they really turned out nice. Beautiful film. I enjoyed it a lot. I sincerely think if you're on the fence, if you don't know if this is going to be your kind of movie, it is a Marvel movie with kung fu. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll.
See, that right there has my attention. It's a kung fu movie. You know, it's a kung fu Marvel movie.
Right. I mean, again, some of the stuff is over the top, sure, but
it's a Marvel movie.
You can see,
and it's kung fu. Come on,
it's kung fu. Yeah. Hello.
You can see a lot of influences. You can see Jackie Chan in there. You can see Bruce Lee in there. You can see Jet Li in some of the sequences. You can see gosh, my mind just went blank. You can see a lot of that influence. That
Benny the Jet.
There was some Benny the Jet in there.
Benny the Jet. Oh man,
is that guy still alive? I need to see more of him.
He's still alive. He's got a school in California.
Fantastic.
Nice.
That guy is awesome. So I mean, if that's the genre of film that you like, go for it. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Hello.
All right, was that it there? Let's go to Michael.
I tried to be as spoiler free as I could.
That's good.
Right, that's a difficult thing with these Marvel movies because there's so much you do want to talk about.
Oh, there's
that one moment when, and then you're like,
exactly.
There's two characters I really want to talk about that I can't if it's spoiler free.
Of course, right. But just quick and easy. It's a Marvel movie. If you like the Marvel movies, you go into it, you're gonna have a good time. Myself, I'm getting a little bit tired of the type of humor movies. I'll call it very topical or time period specific jokes that they'll do in a film from time to time. Black Panther notoriously did the "what are those" to the shoes. But Shang-Chi, aside from the Marvel elements of it, for the first half hour where it's introducing the plot and everything, there are a lot of Marvel bits that kind of were keeping me from getting too engaged. But then once the plot actually starts to thicken and you learn more about the universe it's taking place in, I was like, okay, I'm getting more in. Okay, I'm getting into this. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, this is awesome. This is some of the best Marvel dramatic elements I've ever seen in the movie film. It was really fun. I enjoyed every bit of it. And the action and visuals, superb. Awesome.
Very cool.
That's pretty much my review for it.
No, that's cool.
I want to say to Steve's comment, Awkwafina makes life better. She's brilliant. I am not a huge Awkwafina fan. I haven't been, I should say. But I can say that after seeing her in this, I want to see her in a dramatic role. I want to see her in something exceptionally dramatic. And I believe I've said on the show many a times, but I want to reiterate that I find that comedians make the absolute best dramatic actors ever. I don't know if it's because of their study of timing. I don't know if it's how they play to the audience and whatnot in their acts, or I can't nail down exactly what it is. But if you look at Michael Keaton, whenever he did dramatic roles, he will rip out your heart.
Robin Williams is a perfect example of that. Show.
Robin
Chris
Williams,
Rock and Fargo.
Tom Hanks in anything, you know. I mean, the magnitude that comedians have, and I think that if you, after seeing her, Awkwafina, in this role, if you get her an actual dramatic role, I think she will knock the breath out of you, and I think she will take your legs out from underneath you. I thought that she was a standout in this, and that's coming from somebody who does not necessarily care about Awkwafina.
Right.
She actually, she's now on my radar. I can say if I see something positive out of her, this role will set her on another level, I think.
I think she's on a television series where she does do some dramatic work.
It's her. I think it's loosely based on her own life.
There you go.
That Nora from the Bronx or whatever.
There it is.
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes and I wanted to stab myself in the eye.
Okay.
So that's not necessarily what I'm looking for, but
All right.
she definitely. I've got high hopes for her in the future.
There's Scott. How you doing, Scott?
Scott.
How's band? How's
Tired
it
of
going in
marching
band
yet,
there,
Scott?
buddy? It's good to see you, man. Steve says, I absolutely agree, Sean. This puts her over the top. So my thoughts on this is we've heard a lot from the what I call fan holes, which are people who are supposedly fans of the MCU, but look to down talk it at every possible opportunity, and have been saying for the past few years, that after Endgame, the MCU is over. It's dead.
For God's sake.
It is completely done. We will never return to these heights again. Might as well just mark it off. It's done. Well, guess what? Phase 4 has begun, and it's better than ever before.
Yep.
These origin movies tend to be kind of middle of the road, typically. I would say this was better than usual. I really enjoyed this movie. It had great action in it. The characters are great. I agree that I pretty much figured that they were going to be pretty, basic characters. That definitely wasn't the case. I got behind not just the main character, but I mean, all the characters are really wonderful in this thing. It has some great cameos that, again, I'm not going to mention because you'll spoil it. But the cameos are awesome, and I agree that it kind of started slow, but once they got into this world, the world is really rich and interesting. I can say that I got chills a couple of times in this movie, and I don't get that very often in movies, but it was just like them really going for it and trying to create kind of wonder and fantasy and nailing it. I mean, like really sticking the landing on this thing was really spectacular. And anyway, I think that this was an excellent movie.
Can't wait to see it.
My niece Kat had a lot of high praise for it as well. For Kat to say that she enjoyed this movie more than Doctor Strange, knowing Doctor Strange is one of her favorites.
That's another origin movie that was kind of middle of the road. I think this was maybe above that. Great start.
I won't say that I liked this better than Strange, because Strange really blew me out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Michelle Yeoh, I agree with that.
Amen to that.
Oh, she was great.
She was awesome.
Man.
So good in it.
There's literally nothing that woman could do wrong.
Right?
Literally.
Oh my
Literally nothing.
Gigi says if Sean likes it, then I like it. He's very wise.
It's very true. Very, very true. I don't know if I would say that this tops or this breaks into my top 5, but it's definitely in my top 10. It was very, very fun. Enjoyable. Again, if you enjoy martial arts action films, definitely check it out.
And you know I do, Sean.
I know you do.
So do I.
The design on this was really good.
If
Sean
I had
mentioned,
go ahead.
Sean mentioned one. I don't want to say what the character is, but one of the kind of creatures that's in the thing kind of mentioned, the look of that character and how they came to that. Let's just say that it's kind of a traditional creature that they had a different take on. I mean, it looked different than any version of this creature that I've seen, and it really lended something to this. I mean, they went all for it. Much like I think, although I think they did it better, much like in Aquaman when they went under the water, and you're like, holy crap, they really went for it here. I felt like that they did that with this kind of fantasy, Asian world. I think they went, 100% for this, and with the creative team and the action that you would expect in a Marvel movie, and in many ways kind of, revitalized the genre in their own way.
If I were to have a complaint about this movie, I know there's so many out there. No. If I were to have a true complaint, some of the action, which obviously all of it's choreographed so no one dies, but if there was any complaint, some of the action looked a little on the nose, choreography wise. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see where some of the punches were pulled a little bit, or somebody was off time, just a hair. But beyond that, very enjoyable, very fun.
We see that in other kung fu movies, though. So is it really off, or is it more a function of a kung fu movie?
It wasn't The Raid. It was more Crouching Tiger.
The thing is, if you look at that,
I get that too. Yeah.
If you look like a Jackie Chan film, just as an aside, he will take 36 takes on a shot to make sure that it looks correct. Mm-hmm. If he's got to punch you in the face to do it, he's going to punch you in the face. If he's going to get punched in the face to get the right shot, he'll take a punch in the face.
He'll take a punch in the face.
He'll take a punch in the face.
With American films, that doesn't necessarily happen. The choreography is like this. People don't want to get hit in the face, and okay, we'll use that one. We'll do a quick cut. We'll transition in post. Don't worry about it. Moving on, and that's American.
They have a different philosophy in Asia.
So there's a certain feel. If you watch say a Hong Kong action film, or even with like Tony Jaa, whenever he's doing his Muay Thai and whatnot, mm-hmm. You feel those impacts.
You feel those blows.
They even though they're stuntmen, even though they're actors, they will hit each other. They will break parts to make sure that shot is correct. Yeah, we don't get that in America. we like ourselves. Life is expensive in America.
Although I will say, in some of the movies now, they're starting to take some of those risks.
Oh yeah.
Like look at the Daredevil series, for instance, falling off the scaffolding.
Dude, You know, if you want to talk about old school, Sylvester Stallone can no longer turn his head practically
Because of the Rocky movies.
No,
Yeah.
no. It was the
No?
Expendables.
Oh, was it really?
He
Yeah.
broke his neck
Yeah.
in the Expendables.
Oh, I didn't realize he
Yeah.
was still doing his own stunts.
In fact, it was such a good shot that it's in the film
Yeah.
where
I have to go back and watch those.
Steve Austin does a shoulder tackle and he hits a half wall. He snaps his neck when his head is past the wall.
Oh, crud.
He broke himself.
Oops.
And then he slumps over, all in shot, and then they call cut. And because he's directing it, if I remember correctly, he's like, "Did we get the shot? Okay, I need to go to the hospital. Something went crack."
Well,
and he had to have, I believe it was 3 vertebrae fused or 4, something like that. He broke his neck.
There was another movie where he and was it Arnold both screwed up their shoulders. Both had to have shoulder surgery at the same time.
Yeah,
same shoulder in the same movie. I want to say it was one
prison breakout movie or something, or am I
it
thinking
was either
something?
it was either that or one of the Expendables movies.
I thought it was the first Expendable movie.
It may have been it may have been the first one because I know that they both did a fight scene and they both screwed up each other's shoulders. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I love you guys, but you guys are too old to be doing that.
I'm old for this.
Have you guys ever seen the clip from the shooting of Blade Runner 2049? They have it on camera. It's a fight scene between
Harrison Ford punches
Harrison Ford,
Ryan.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gosling right in the face.
Yeah,
Which is the
Right.
prime example of talking about like old actors actually putting themselves in the roles, and Ryan Gosling of a newer generation.
That's so true.
You bring up Harrison Ford. Whenever he did Air Force One, he specifically told Gary Oldman,
Hit me.
ram my face into the switchboard. There's all these switches. They've got lights and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, slam my face into this. And Gary's like, I ain't doing that. You're Harrison Ford. I ain't doing it. And he's like, no. It's fine. Do it. I want you to just mash my face. And he's like, dude, you're Harrison Ford. I'm not doing it. And he's like, just trust me. When I peel my face back, you'll see the dimples from the switches in my face. And he's like, you're psychotic. And then he smashed his face into the board. So everything worked out. It's all beautiful.
Steve says, fight scene spoiler alert. Can we all agree that a bamboo scaffolding is a bad idea while building a skyscraper?
I think a bamboo scaffolding is a bad idea anywhere.
China and Japan use bamboo scaffolding like nobody's business. And it has been shown to be more durable and stronger than our scaffolding with aluminum.
Because it's got some bend to it, maybe?
Yeah.
It's got flexibility to it, but you make something out of bamboo, whole bamboo like that, it ain't going nowhere. That thing is not going to move. Beautiful stuff.
I want to get Beth and Walt in here. I want to ask, do you think with them moving Venom back by 2 weeks and by this breaking a record, do you think we're on the path to movies being back, or do you think that we're still in a little bit of trouble? I'll go to Beth first.
No, I think we're on the path to movies coming back. You know, with everything going on with COVID, people are tired of sitting at home and they still want to get out and go to the movies. And I think the movies are going to see trouble on their own fronts without having people coming in there and, monetarily wise. So I think we're starting to see the beginning of a pickup here. I don't think, I think it's a good sign actually. Especially with them pushing Venom up. I think that's a big one too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they push a couple of other ones up, that we've been waiting on.
What do you think, man?
I think I'm going to agree with Beth, but I'm not going to say that it's going to be a quick turnaround.
Yeah, agreed.
It's going to be very measured because of that, because as we like to refer to it, I'm going to have to remind Beth, this is the Backstreet Reunion Tour. Backstreet Boys Reunion Tour.
Hey.
And And one of the things I'm going to say that I find is a turnaround, because me and Beth are in Texas, and we all know how this reunion tour is affecting Texas. So, and I think with this whole situation, we've got people who are starting to pull their heads out. Because I noticed today at the grocery store I go shopping at, that there is a pediatric care center, medical center, just basically, pediatric doctor's office or whatever. And I'm pulling out of the parking lot of the grocery store, and I'm like, what the hell are all these cars doing in this parking lot? What is going on over here in this parking lot that's so freaking important? I've never seen these cars over here in this parking lot before. Why are there so many cars? And come to find out, it's people being tested for the Backstreet Boys reunion tour sickness.
Right.
And so I started thinking, well, maybe people are starting to come to grips that, hey, unless everybody's doing their part, we're not going to get out of this. And if we don't get out of this, we're not going to go to the movie theaters or whatever, the places we like to go to. So I think we're on the turnaround. I think we're finally going to get people on the turnaround, and we're finally going to get back to the movie theaters. I'm still going to mask up, but
Yeah, and I'm with Walt. I mean, I'm fully vaccinated, but I walk out that door, I'm throwing the mask on. When I get out of my car to just going into the grocery store, I got the mask on. I'm not playing this game.
The Warren Theater that we typically go to here and more, people from Hollywood came out to see how it consistently ranked in the top 10 nationwide for movie theaters. And so what I do is basically look at the parking lot to get like an idea of how the movie industry is doing. And we went over there this last weekend, and I would say they were about 60 or 70% full. But for the first time since this started, when we went in, we couldn't get the first two showings that we wanted to go to. They were sold out. That's the first time that we haven't been able to just walk right straight into the movie theater and get whatever we want to. We had to
year and
put
a half, 2 years, however long.
in a year and a half.
Year and a half.
I mean, it's
almost
been
2
since
years.
like March of 2020 since we've been able to walk into a Friday night movie and get whatever showing we wanted to do. We had to wait an extra hour because I mean, in the past for a Marvel movie we would buy tickets a week or two in advance to make sure that we get to see it on Friday night. And in this case, we had to wait an extra hour, which is fine. We like each other's company, but I'd say that it's I'd say it was a good indicator that things are improving because we couldn't just walk right in there and get whatever seats we wanted. And once we got in there, the theater wasn't maxed out, but it was, let's say 60, 70% in the IMAX theater. That's good business, folks.
yeah.
I am hoping for me, I'm hoping that Dune makes $1 trillion. So, I want the theater business to be booming, hopefully by the time that we get to Dune. And, I think we're on the right path. Everyone, take their vitamins and wear their masks or whatever it takes.
That's the one. Dune is the one I'm
Please.
trying to hold out for.
That's
the one I want to see in the theater.
Let's hold together for long enough for that.
I'm reserved. I've reserved myself to not going the opening weekend and going like maybe the following Monday or Tuesday. I mean, like my plan was to go today, but as I've told some of you guys earlier that I had to do a job interview test. So
Well, you got to take care of that first.
I got to take care of that first. That's
But-
more important. So
I would say, if you're interested in seeing this movie, you should go see it. I think it's one
definitely.
of the better.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the better Marvel movies, and that says a lot for me. And you have the benefit of, like, if for some reason you haven't been watching Marvel movies, this is an origin movie, so you can. It's kind of it's the beginning of Phase 4, and it's the beginning of a new character. This is a good place to jump on.
Get ready for some reading.
I don't know, Dirk.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn between going and seeing the grandchild and going and seeing the movie.
Well, I understand that too. You gotta
That
have
kid, you'll have that kid for a while. Go see the
That's
movie.
right.
Hey,
That kid is not going anywhere.
Schedule it so that after you see the movie, you can stop by and see the grandkid.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
You kill two birds. Steve says Tom Cruise still has some issues. Tom Cruise is.
Do we
you better
care
listen
about,
to him.
Do we care about Tom Cruise?
You better listen to him. He's running the show. He's running all shows. He and Xenu are tight.
We're still waiting. We're still waiting on that Top Gun sequel.
Yeah, apparently we're waiting a while longer.
I mean, I don't care anything about any of the drama and dialogue. I just want to see the flying.
Yeah, I just want to see the play scenes.
See, I'm just waiting for the Batman to drop. It's been
And see, there's that one there too.
the Batman got pushed, and I don't think a week goes by that I don't watch the trailer once. Just to like, if I'm feeling down, and I'll be like, "There's the Batman coming out," and I watch it, and it's just like there is hope in the world. There's
I did
something to
watch
look
that trailer
forward to.
too. I just watched that trailer again today too.
Speaking
so
of trailers, in front of because we saw Shang-Chi in the IMAX, the Spider-Man trailer played before it, and I'm just gonna, if you haven't seen it online, I'm just gonna tell you now, Charlie Cox is not in the jail scene with Peter
Yeah,
Parker.
no, it's not him.
Those
Yeah.
forearms, though.
Yeah, but in
Yeah, it's
IMAX,
not.
you get to see the face, and it's not Charlie Cox. So, sorry,
He's
he might
he's a
be in
police
the
officer.
movie later,
Charlie Cox could still be his lawyer.
but he is not in that scene.
He's playing
that we
very
see.
coy there.
Yeah.
On that though, he's saying I don't want to spoil it either way. So, you know,
Although he was very, I believe it was his either his Instagram or Twitter, I don't remember which. He was very specific that those were not his forearms.
Those were not his forearms.
Those were not
Yep.
his forearms.
Those were not
And
his forearms.
And I can say, after seeing the trailer in IMAX, those are not his forearms.
right? Because you had a
Hey.
little extra, height on those.
And also on that, rumor is that he's going to be showing up in the She-Hulk series
She-Hulk.
too.
Yeah.
he's been pegged to a lot of stuff. So has
John Bernthal is.
D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and I think that the Punisher's been inserted into a lot of stuff.
I would
I
like
hope
to see
so.
Luke Cage return.
I think all of that's
Yeah.
going to happen.
I
There
think
was a
it's gonna
rumor
happen
today that one, there's a Daredevil Disney Plus reboot, like season 5, not really season 5, kind of coming out, but that also in She-Hulk he's going to show up with the yellow suit.
Oh,
Oh,
that'd
that'd
be
Yes.
Is that interesting?
I
Yeah.
like that.
Cool.
That
That'll be
sounds
cool.
like fan service, but that's okay.
Hey,
If that's their way of rebooting the character, to be like, Netflix, we don't know it. This is a new Daredevil. Look, he's yellow.
Right,
He's a
right,
character,
right.
But like, it's totally
This
different.
is an
I'll-
alternate universe Daredevil.
I mean,
Right.
they have already auctioned off all the costumes from the original series. So
Yeah, I mean, you know that they're going to go with new stuff no matter what.
Yeah.
yeah.
I looked at that bid and I thought about it.
It was super
For what?
ridiculous.
2.1 seconds?
Well, no, at the time I looked at the bid, it wasn't that high. I could probably still afford it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd eat ramen for about 3 months, but I could have done it,
You
I
look
looked at it
really
too.
cool in that, Sean.
wouldn't I? Especially with my fat gut.
All right, we're moving on to the
You're
next
the squishy
subject.
Daredevil. Fantastic.
That's just extra padding for when people punch you in the gut.
Ah, there you go.
All right, so today, in the advance of the launch of the first trailer for The Matrix Resurrections, on Thursday, Warner Brothers has launched an innovative website featuring an interactive and widely divergent first look at the newest installment in the 22-year-old franchise at whatisthematrix.com, which was their old website, by the way. Users are greeted with the simple choice first presented in 1999's The Matrix. Click on the blue pill and stick to the reality you've known your whole life, or click on the red pill and signal that you're ready to see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Here goes Scott again.
Did anyone see Did anyone do this routine where they went to the website and tried it out?
I didn't
Show of hands.
I didn't go to the website,
did.
but I
didn't
seen
go to the
trailer.
website, but I've seen the trailer.
They did show the trailers. The trick is if you go, independently, you go on your own. It starts the thing off with the time that you hit the deal, and there are apparently some other variations. They said something like there's 12,000 different videos that you can see on these things. It's only about a minute long each, which is pretty crazy. That's quite an experiment.
Linkin Park did something a while
Scott is a big
back.
fan of the Matrix, as you can see.
Apparently. Linkin Park did something similar to that a while back with one of their videos. And I remember watching the video and wondering, why am I seeing my own photos in the video? And the whole thing with the Matrix kind of reminded me of that when Linkin Park did that with the videos.
So here's my question to the group, and I'm not going to go to you individually. You can just chime in on this thing. Hopefully, let's try to keep this brief. Talk a little bit about what you think about the Matrix in general, and if you have seen this or whatever you've heard about this new Matrix, are you excited about it, or you think it's all bunk? So, who wants to take that?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Beth.
I was a latecomer to the Matrix series to begin with. I didn't actually see them when they originally came out. I saw them afterwards, and I fell in love with the premise back then. And this is probably one I'm really looking forward to. Not because I'm a Keanu Reeves fangirl. No, I'm a fan of the story. I'm a fan of the idea of living in the Matrix. I'm a fan of Tron, Scott. so the whole
Scott took a lot of flack on that.
So I'm getting them back now. I'm totally psyched over the fact that they have decided to do another one of these movies. Kind of bummed that Hugo Weaving is not returning. But that's okay. Yeah. We've got Keanu, and what I'm seeing so far looks pretty good. I'm excited for it.
Anyone else?
Like Steve says, Steve says he can't handle that. It's been 20 years. I just remember.
Also a big fan of Tron.
The first movie was a mind-blowing experience for me. Mm-hmm. That whole waking up. Everybody probably had the same, effect I had. And then of course the whole series is kind of a trip down memory lane, because me and Steve both took the day off to see the third movie in the theater on opening day, and people couldn't wrap their brain around why we were taking a vacation day to go see a movie, because it's our vacation day and we can spend that vacation day any way we want,
doing what we want. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the story is after what happened in the third movie. Not necessarily. I mean, I didn't necessarily need to see Keanu Reeves again, but having him back in there is still refreshing. There's, you never know, he may be the the Oracle type in this movie. You never know.
He may be Mr.
His role may be changing.
Yeah. His role will be probably different. So, just as long as the story is good, the movie, the action's good, the special effects we know will be good, because those movies were innovative in special effects to begin with. So I can't wait. Let's go. Let's get it on. I want it yesterday, right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll make everybody feel a little bit old. I just turned 25 over the weekend, so I was 3 when they came out. So I've not seen.
Wild.
I did not have a chance to see them in theaters, so I'll say that off the bat. But excluding excluding the second and third, I think the first one is, a bold claim, but I think it's one of the few reinventions of the superhero genre that is wholly unique and sticks its landing, in that sense that, it's by all means a superhero movie in their power sets and all that kind of stuff, but the world is so unique and the take is so well developed and thought that I'll watch any Matrix movie. I don't care how much I dislike the second and third one. I will keep watching them if they keep making them, especially with Keanu, who's just America's sweetheart. But yeah, with regards to the fourth one, I was even thinking like this could be a Halloween situation where 2 and 3 are erased canonically, and this is
that is true.
I have a sneaking suspicion that they might do something that they happen.
They could easily do that within canon,
right?
Because they said that it was redone over and over and over again. I mean,
right? Because there's things, going back to the second and third one. In the second one, they hinted at ghosts and werewolves and vampires.
Yes,
and we got just a snippet of the ghosts with the twins. Mm-hmm. They need to explore that aspect of that part of the Matrix even more.
Sean, remember what the Matrix is. I mean, anything can go at this point within the Matrix itself.
Right. And that also brings us back to the new movie fad, multiverse. So there's a multiverse within the Matrix. So
Sean,
that'd be wild.
The first movie really set a bar. It illustrated, I think, an idea of what could be done that no one ever thought about. The Wachowskis actually thought outside the box, mm-hmm. and created something unique. For me, unfortunately, they were never able to reach the heights of that bar again.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just in the following Matrix films. I mean everything that they did. They had set the bar so high.
Yeah.
With the innovation of the Matrix that nothing that they did since has compared. Story-wise, visually, as impressive visually as everything has been, nothing has been to that level. And part of that might be the film. The film was laid out and sequenced by two of the industry gods, if you will, Jeff Darrow and Steve Scrokey. Absolutely fantastic visual artists who redefined comic books, so to speak, whenever they were doing their own stuff. Jeff Darrow in particular. So
a big guy and Rusty,
right? Hard boiled.
Yeah, hard boiled.
This is insane.
So, as far as eager to see this movie, I'm not really. I was, once 3 was over, I was kind of like, let it die. I mean, it's just again, nothing against the movies. I own all the movies. I own the Animatrix. I've watched them countless times, but again, that bar was set way too high. They will never, in my opinion, will not reach the heights of that movie. No matter what they do. So, in that respect, this feels almost like a cash grab. They're trying to
certainly.
They're trying to bleed off of the nostalgia of the Matrix. Don't do something completely new. Do something completely different. If you want to stay in the Matrix world, fine. Do something completely different. Yeah. From the teaser, there are a lot of scenes that either they're a flashback to the original movie, or they're using the same effects with different characters, in which case that seems kind of cheap to me.
Derivative.
Yeah. Hopefully Thursday we'll get a really sharp, interesting, kind of gripping trailer that dispels a lot of that crap that's going around on the internet right now, and hopefully kind of belays some of my concerns. As far as the movie coming out, I'll see it. Obviously, I'll see it when it comes out. But am I looking forward to it? Not really. I knew whenever it was coming out, and Keanu Reeves is coming back. It's like, why?
Yeah.
And I want to say, I love Keanu. I think that guy, I mean, can you get any more saintly of a human being today than Keanu Reeves? The guy is just amazing. Not just being a cool actor and whatnot in action films, but a good person. And that's hard to find in Hollywood. But this just like the Bill and Ted movie. It's like, why are we doing this? Let it go. Just keep making John Wick until you can't make John Wick anymore. And let's keep that ball going. Everything's cool. Become the Silver Surfer in the MCU or something, and rock and roll. But other than that, yeah.
You just put a terrible thought in my brain.
I'm sorry.
Oh, do share.
Silver Surfer walking up and going.
Underwear?
No.
It is.
Silver Surfer going, whoa.
Oh no, that's great, especially if it's like him meeting the Fantastic Four and he like turns to the thing and he's like,
whoa. Is there a Circle K anywhere nearby?
Dude.
Oh man.
Shell says that Keanu's just being human, and we all should be more human, I guess.
Like I said with another Matrix movie, let's explore those aspects that were mentioned.
Oh yeah.
In the first three.
See, and again, that would be different.
That would be different.
Let's not just talk about it. Let's see what you guys had intended.
I want to see more than just those two twin ghosts. I want to see. They mentioned werewolves and vampires. I want to see that too.
Yeah, instead of just a bunch of wacky henchmen with sharp teeth leaping through the air, let's actually do something.
Yeah. So,
I think that the Matrix is much like when Star Wars came out, and if people weren't around when Star Wars was released, they don't understand what a big deal Star Wars was when it came out. People are like, they look at it now, they look at Star Wars, and they're like, it's a little slow, it's kind of clunky, whatever, and they don't realize what a phenomenon it was. The Matrix was very much like that. It was a phenomenon, not just special effects, it certainly was that, but it was also something that really blew everyone's mind, that great moment where you find out, that all is not as it seems. It makes everyone go, wow, wait a minute, are we in the Matrix? What is happening?
Right.
It made everyone, consider their place in life. It was very philosophical. It was, it's the hero's journey. The first Matrix movie is one of the best movies ever made by a long shot. And if you look at it now, like if you see it for the first time now, you may go, oh, it doesn't look all that innovative. Well, you got to realize that it was first with all those shots that have been copied many, many, many times in the last 22 years. So it philosophically, plot-wise, special effects-wise was way ahead of its time.
It's probably one of the best examples of a hero's journey from a writer's point of view.
As is Star Wars.
Yeah.
And if you read books on plotting, almost every book on plotting mentions Star Wars because it goes beat by beat, and The Matrix does that absolutely as well. I mean, you can just mark off if you know the different steps, you can just mark them off one right after another. It follows it, to a T. The next two movies were unfortunately a disappointment, and the explanation of what the hell was going on in that thing unfortunately landed on a video game that you can no longer play.
Right.
That was very bad planning on the parts of the Wachowskis, and it was not the last bit of bad planning that we've had from those two in the past 2 decades. So I think in some ways I'm glad that they're back, because they obviously were the people who gave us the original version of this film. On the other hand, wouldn't it have been interesting to hand this off to someone else and see what they did with the property, so that all of the things because it seems like everyone here has said, I kind of don't want to see the same thing with like younger actors. I would like to see something different. I haven't seen the movie yet. I haven't even seen the full preview. So who knows what we're going to get here? Maybe we get that. Maybe the Wachowskis have had 2 decades to sit around and think about what worked and what didn't work in those other 2 films, and say, you know, maybe we've got a different take on this. We're going to redo The Matrix by blowing everyone's mind again and really putting something out there that no one expects. We're going to take it in a whole different direction. Maybe that's going to happen. Or maybe it's, as someone else said, it's just a fat cash grab. We're just basically going to have Keanu show up because everyone loves Keanu, and we're going to put younger actors in the same roles again, and we're going to have derivative scenes, and it's just going to be like, better special effects and disappointing. I don't know. We'll see. But much like Sean, I'll go see it. You know, I'll give him the shot.
It could be a lot like the George Miller Mad Max return, or
yes,
absolutely.
Or it could be Lucas on the prequels, or it could be Lucas on the prequels, where every 5 minutes it's a I have a bad feeling about this. It's like, oh, we get it, George.
Yeah,
right.
Get it.
That's the perfect example of someone who sat on a project, George Miller, who sat on a project for, what was it, maybe 20, 25 years, and then like he was thinking about it and putting it in sketchbooks and coming up with different ideas and expanding the stuff. I think Fury Road was infinitely better than the previous versions of Mad Max, because he thought about it and figured out what worked in that universe, and he had so much crap that he had to get out in that one movie that it was just full of stuff. I don't know if we're going to get that from the Wachowskis, because Speed Racer wasn't that, and Jupiter Ascending wasn't that, and Sense8 wasn't that. I have yet to see anything since that original Matrix film that is as interesting or revolutionary as that first. I mean, they just downloaded everything into that one film. Steve says he thinks that it'll be another level. Are you trolling us? Are you
the marketing material got me though. When the time thing went in the teaser trailer, and I was like stopped and I looked at my phone. I was like, oh my god, how did it know?
Yeah.
If the marketing is anything,
it's a neat trick.
If the marketing is anything, I'm in. But that no credit on the actual product.
It might be. Listen, if I was an executive, I'd say there's no way we're touching this unless you guys can bring something new to the table.
Yep.
No way we're touching it. Why bother? Ronnie says Matrix was good with special effects, but has never seen a movie hold up through time like Alien. I think that Matrix is still one of the best movies ever made.
I think
if
so.
You
Game
just take
over,
Matrix,
man. Game
if you
over.
just take
not Aliens.
If you just take Matrix as that one film, it's hard to beat that film.
Yeah, that and in itself, the first movie all by itself, they could have just ended it right there, and I would have been satisfied.
I hope you're right, Steve.
I hope you're right.
Blow me away. I'm ready, man. I love that world.
Yeah,
as Ronnie said,
that world.
As we mentioned here, as far as benchmarks, the first Alien film, again, you had a situation where no one had ever seen anything like that.
It was way off the charts.
If you read the original script that Dan O'Bannon wrote, it was a B movie at best, maybe a C movie, and
could have been in lesser hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And for Ridley Scott to have, dare I say, the vision, being introduced to so many prolific artists of the time, and to come up with that being that, again, no one had even contemplated up until that point, was pure genius. And again, everybody and their grandmother's done nothing but try to emulate that ever since, and that's what we're going on 40 now.
right.
So we're actually,
Cameron was smart in not recreating Alien.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was.
He took a horror movie and said, let's make it an action movie.
Yep.
And you know what
with
else?
some horror elements, and that was the brilliance of what he did, is he answered it by not recreating it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he kept along from the first Alien movie was keeping the aliens in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
because
it's still a horror film.
Yeah, it's still a horror film.
But
when you go back,
it's mostly an action film.
Yeah, but when you go back and watch it, and you specifically slowed down, and the aliens coming in over the ceiling, you can see that those are just there's not much to those costumes. Those are just people in cat suits. But still, because it was done in the dark and done so quick, it had the feeling of the first movie of the alien movie.
Cameron did a lot of stuff in camera. He was a big person, which is funny because now he basically makes animated movies. But he did a lot of those effects right there on the set.
The practical.
And he understood, practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
He understands how to make a movie. He is an old-fashioned movie maker, no doubt about it.
By the way, the trivia, those aliens in that ceiling, if I remember right, there's only like 3.
Yeah.
And he used mirrors to reflect those same 3 costumes so that it looked like it was.
There you go. There's that practical. That's interesting.
Right. I think they were all gymnasts too, something like that.
Something like that. You read stories about Cameron being just a douche, and he may be, but man knows how to make movies.
He knows how to make movies.
Yeah, he knows he
although
knows what he's doing.
Although I will say, I did not like Titanic.
Titanic is overrated.
If you just watch the second half of Titanic,
that's all I ever watch.
as soon as they hit the ice, just watch everything after that.
Yeah, that's
rock
all
and
I
roll.
ever watch.
That movie's fantastic.
Basically, with Titanic, you want to watch the beginning segment where they have the camera down and shooting around the ship.
Yeah,
because that's actual footage Cameron got of Titanic itself, which I love being able to see.
That's because he's an underwater nerd.
Oh, he is. And then watch that second half, everything from hitting the iceberg to the end. That is phenomenal cinematography.
It is. It is.
And
the rest of the dramatic stuff.
It did win an Academy Award.
One of the things I enjoy, I recently rewatched the Alien movies with Dan. We sat down and watched all of them because there were a couple I hadn't seen. And to Ronnie's point, they do hold up really well. And to this day, I still think one of the best things about those movies is the way they always hid the aliens in very obvious places. You had to stop and really look. Like when Ridley is getting in the ship with the cat to get away and the alien is up on the console. You don't see it at first.
Yeah.
You have to really look. Everything is telling you something's not right here. She's not going to get away scot-free. Everything is telling you that, but you don't see it right away. And to me, I always found that to be fascinating.
That scene was not in the original script.
I'm glad they added it.
That was all Ridley Scott saying, "Nope, I've got the audience. I've got the audience up to this point. I can't just drop it here. I need something to just make him shit."
He brought a lot to that film.
You're sitting there waiting for it. You're sitting there waiting for that other shoe to drop, and it's almost satisfaction seeing the alien come out at that point.
What they had to do to get the actor and costume in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
all the consoles and whatnot, everything was on rollers. He had to climb into like a bench seat, lay down in there, and then they moved everything into place around him just so everything blended. Dude, man, that was I love that movie.
Yep.
All right, we're going to move to On Blast.
I need like a fruity adult beverage when that song comes on.
I would like a fruity adult beverage.
I wouldn't mind one either.
I could take one of those right now. So for Scott or people who have never seen the show, this is On Blast, which is just us talking about stuff that we've watched or we've played or we've seen or read, whatever. It's something just we want to promote. And for that first, I'm going to go to Walt.
So taking Dirk's advice, signed up to Tubi.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
It's free.
And I binged watched what is it? Transformers Energon, one of the Japanese versions of the Transformers, and it's a trilogy. So there's three different series. I haven't watched the others, but it's actually Transformers Energon is the second of the trilogy, I do believe. The third one is Cybertron, and the first one, I cannot remember the first one. Anyway, there's the original Transformers series is on there, as well as 2 anime versions of the Transformers, which are dubbed in English. And the reason why they are on there is because pretty much all of Shout Factory's videos, if you're familiar with Shout Factory, their whole lineup of videos are on Tubi.
Okay.
So if you're an Ultraman fan,
yes,
there's every Ultraman that's
all
ever
those
been
Ultraman. Yes,
are on there.
Yep.
This morning, or no, not this morning. Yesterday, I binge watched the old Mask cartoon.
Oh my god,
that's on there.
Wow.
I went back for grins and I watched the New Adventures of Batman with Batmite.
Oh,
and Batmite is worthless, but he
is the worst.
Yeah, but it is good to hear Adam West and Burt Ward's voices doing Batman and Robin. So it's worth that.
If they had just removed Batmite, that would have been a pretty cool series.
Yeah,
not great, but still
not great.
Good.
I mean, it's Filmation, and I noticed that the original series is on there too. The Adventures of Batman by Filmation.
Mm-hmm.
I already have that on DVD, so I didn't need to watch that. But that whole Tubi is pretty cool. If you want to watch the original Battlestar Galactica, it's there. Like I mentioned, if you're interested in Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider is there. For Beth.
Yes, sir.
The original Japanese Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are all on there too.
Are they? Okay.
All those different series are on there.
Gotta go find those.
So if you want to see the original Japanese versions of the Power Rangers, those are all on there. So I'm having a great time between that, Peacock, and I want to say there's another one on there. I can't remember what it is, but there's a bunch of free streaming services that have a bunch of
Pluto.
Yeah,
Pluto. Yeah,
Pluto's another one.
Good one. Yep.
Shout Factory also has a channel on there called Shout Tochu. I can't even pronounce it now. Anyway.
Ronnie's discounting it because there's no Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but if you go to Amazon Prime, you can watch the old animated Lord of the Rings on Amazon Prime.
I own those.
Tokusatsu?
Tokusatsu, yeah.
Wow.
Shoutsu.
Sean with the win on that.
That's on Pluto, and that's all Shout Factory stuff, too.
I love Shout Factory's
catalog. Shout Factory is the greatest.
I watched Pluto last night. And I watched the first episode of Wizard of Earthsea.
Wow.
Great. Well,
how about that?
Yeah, Pluto has specific channels. Like there's the Naruto channel, and
it was on demand. So
yeah.
I went to Earthsea and watched the first episode.
That's cool.
The rest of it is kind of this weird live TV thing.
It is.
So you can pick it up in the middle of the deal. Like they do have classic Doctor Who, but you can't watch it from episode 1. You have to just kind of pick up whatever they're showing.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I don't know why they do it that way, but
they just keep running it over and over and over.
And they don't show it in order either, so
yeah.
That's a very odd platform, especially in the age of the streamer where it's
very
much like
counterintuitive.
Yeah, like where do I want to start? Well, from the beginning. Well, I can't. This
right.
I'm on Capaldi episode 3 and I haven't started
It's a great platform for the older generations that used to just put the TV on and let Bonanza and High Chaparral and all of those just roll in the background.
I get it.
Yeah.
It is good if you just kind of need something to, while you're working or something.
Yeah, because
Steve says BritBox for classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, BritBox.
I may do that because I really want to see those old.
I will
HBO Max for current.
Right. Because I will say this about Pluto is I like to get on there sometimes, just especially for Tokusatsu. They'll show like 3 hours of Ultraman, then they'll go to 3 hours of Mask or Kamen Rider, and then they'll go to 3 hours of the Power Ranger stuff, and then you just let it go on and on and on. It's just 24. It's like live TV with commercials and all that stuff.
It's better than watching the news.
It's better than watching the news.
Amen to that. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Beth, you're up next.
It's better than watching the news.
Thanks, guys. I love it. So, I have been heads down in editing the last 2 weeks, but I did get out to Free Range Pumpkins and play some Magic and discovered the newest member of my collection.
Uh-oh. What is that?
Oh, that's Mirror World Spock.
Oh, Spock.
Mirror World
Evil
Spock.
Spock.
Evil Spock.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he came home with me. Amy is not selling the Mirror World Kirk. She's holding on to him, which is kind of a bummer because I would have liked to.
That is cool.
Yeah. Really.
Enough.
Not know if I can. I don't know if I'm supposed to show this yet.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
I'm
intrigued.
She has a cat licking itself.
Well,
when
that's
she
good entertainment.
Not? That's usual. That's usual. You know, for the regular people, as you can see, I got a new mic.
Yes, which you've already named.
Yes, this is the Death Star.
We got Death Star. It's the Death Star.
Yes.
We got Death Star.
All right. So let me find this.
Steve mentioned the thing that I saw the other day, which was awesome.
Good job.
On BSG.
I watched that too.
Classic.
This is a quick sneak peek here of my new book cover from my work in progress.
Oh, look at that.
Hey.
Yeah, I got that on Saturday
Let me
from.
kill this.
That's a little spicy there.
Who wears a
Spicy. It's a romance. It's a sci-fi
it's completely
romance
shirtless.
novel.
Who wears a flannel to the Aztec pyramids? That's crazy.
Hey, it gets cold
That's
at
what-
night.
That's what Sean notices.
Well, the one thing that I'm really tickled about, and let me see if I can get.
Yes, zoom in on that flaxen-haired beauty.
Is his
Oh, look at this tattoo on this
the
chest.
tattoo.
Ah,
It's the Orion constellation.
It's not just Orion; it's Orion and the Southern Star.
Ah.
So he's an alien.
He's an alien, but there is meaning behind that, behind the tattoo on his chest, and I was able to get the graphic artist who did this for me to put it on there because it's
Cool.
it's a bit of a big deal. Yeah.
that's cool.
So
But you'll have to read the book to find out.
Dirk is actually beta reading it for me.
How about that?
Or
Wow.
you can pay Dirk to tell you what it's about.
You could slip me some Bitcoin.
Well, he's got the first 8 chapters.
Who's Slugworth? It's like Slugworth in Willy Wonka. Just walk up and be like, "I know you're going to Wonka's factory."
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, so I shout out to RLS Images. I met Michelle from RLS Images at the author convention that I did, and
Cool.
I had seen some of her stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna talk to her, see what their prices are, see what they can do,
Give her some work.
and everything. Give her some work, and I'm really happy with how this came out. Super
Cool.
super.
It
happy.
looks great.
It does. Looks good.
Yeah.
Super happy. So
Good luck on that. How far are you on that book?
I am 25 chapters in on the editing. And probably about
Oh,
another
wow.
25, 30 to go. I haven't
Wow.
sent you all of them. You've got, like I said, you got the prologue and the first 8, Dirk.
Yep.
To go through, so I'll send you more.
It's pretty fun. It's fun to read it.
Yeah. So you'll understand what that tattoo is all about before long.
Cool. All right,
So
Michael, we're
that's what
going
I've
to
been
you.
doing. Yep.
Cool.
Well, for 2 things, I've technically punched 2 more holes in my nerd credit card. The first being, I walked downstairs one time and my brother had the first, or I think it was like the 3rd episode of Next Generation on, which I'd never seen, and I'm not a Trekkie, and so I sat down and watched it. And I was like, put on another, and so now we're both hooked on Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's good.
I've been watching it while I
that's
work. it's so perfect for like this setup. So I have the laptop where the laptop where it is during the day. It's perfect where I can watch it, be working at my desk, look up, see Pickard's beautiful bald head. But I'm getting into Next Generation. I'm on season 2 right now, and it's been a blast. And I'm like, why haven't I checked this out sooner? It's just as corny and goofy as Doctor Who, but
sure.
It's got a little more of like the it's like we try to be a little sophisticated on Star Trek. Like that's kind of the like air I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
But that's been a blast. So I've been enjoying that. But then secondly, my girlfriend has started showing me Steven Universe, which I've never seen. And I've only ever heard good things about.
Series.
Oh yeah, we're pretty deep into the first season right now, and everybody's always told me, Mike, you'd love it. Check it out. Just never got around to it. And we've been together for 6 years now, but she's loved it, and I've never watched it. And now we're just getting around to watching it together, and it's awesome. It's so good.
Really,
the color choices, the action, just phenomenal.
The animation is great. That's a good show. It's a really good show.
I'm really enjoying it. I was gonna say for 2 Transformers things, because you were talking about watching Energon, the first in that trilogy is Armada. At least the English version is
Armada. It's Armada, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But then secondly, have you seen Transformers Prime, the 3D animated show? Because that one's phenomenal. That's like the best.
I've got them all on DVD.
Okay, then I don't need to sell you on it. It's so good.
You don't need to sell either one of us on those.
I'm a huge. If you could see the walls right here, it's G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Okay.
That's all these 2 walls are right here.
If you'll hold for 1 second, ready for this? Just wait.
He's gonna surprise me.
Let's all go to the lobby.
By the way, Walt,
Beast Wars really know how far my nerd credit goes and my artistic interests. I design Transformers out of Legos.
What the crap?
But here's a fully functional Optimus Prime.
Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
Yeah,
that is very cool.
That is awesome.
Just to sell everybody that if you didn't think I had nerd credit, we
know you've got nerd credit. You filled in a few of our blanks.
If you can see these right here, these are
we know
still
you're
in the
legit.
package. These are still in the package. The Transformers Star Wars mashups.
I was trying to spot what those were on your wall when it was.
Yeah, those are all Star Wars Transformers mashups right there.
That's awesome.
Still in the package. So
that's awesome.
Nerds.
Well, it's Optimus Prime Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, and I do have a Prime collection.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's cool.
So take your Lego, package it, send it to Texas, so Walt can add it to his collection.
No, you can have it. That's your baby.
It's a Prime collection, though. I'd love to see a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll have to get them all. It's actually 2 sections. There's one at my parents' house, and then there's one here in Texas.
Nice.
All right, we're
What
going
are you showing
to.
off
Oh, what
there?
is this? Wait a minute.
That's Bumblebee.
it's my Bumblebee.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That is cool. That is a serious mug.
That is a serious mug.
And I don't.
You can kill somebody with that mug.
You could.
It is a color. It's a color changing mug, so I don't use it very often. It was a gift, so it sits over
Very
here in
nice.
a place of honor.
Very nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to Sean next.
Okay, as I told you at the beginning of the show, or somewhere early on, I do get a lot of Kickstarters, and I got one today. Well, I haven't opened it.
Wow, Scott hates Bumblebee too.
Scott, you and I are gonna
Dude,
have
seriously?
You and I are duking it out, man. You and I are duking it out.
Worst Transformer ever, he says. How about that? How about that from the Spicy King?
From the Spicy King.
So I got this one today. It's from Iconic Comics. I don't remember what it is I bought.
Nice, good job, dude.
That's a ringing endorsement.
Is that a Timothy Lim artwork on that box by any chance?
Wow.
Maybe. I don't see a signature anywhere.
What was that called again?
This is Iconic Comics. Let's see what it is I bought as I open it. All I did was cut the tape.
Wow,
I
so
haven't
this is an
even looked in.
unboxing.
First off, we have this handy dandy little card here.
Put it up in our face.
Put it up in the face.
There you go.
In the face.
Oh, I kind of like that.
I can tell you now that this is probably Common America.
That is what it is.
Let's see. Oh, there's another card down at the bottom underneath all the bubble wrap.
Scott says, I was so happy when he died in Transformers the movie, then mad when Goldbug brought him back.
Scott, you can just
Is he talking about? Well, he's totally wrong because Goldbug is Bumblebee and he didn't die in the movie.
No, he didn't.
Moonbase was not destroyed.
Wow.
Exactly.
So at the bottom of the box, there's another collector card. If I can get it in the
There you go, right there.
What you can't see on camera, or at least this camera, is the gold. There's some gold on here that is chrome.
Oh.
It's very pretty. This is very nice.
Oh, by the way, that is I think I don't know if that on the cover is Tim Lim, but that character is Tim Lim's character.
Scott says you're right. I was mad he didn't die.
Yes, I did get. Oh, excellent. I got the if you're familiar, Black Hops, Omnibus. Can't talk.
Omnibus.
Got the Black Hops Omnibus.
Is the interior art?
Hard
Does
cover.
it look like that? Or is that just a cover?
That's just a cover.
All right.
Beautiful cover.
I mean, that's pretty nice.
Beautiful cover. Back
All right.
cover.
Also nice.
Also very shiny.
Yes.
The character is done in a gloss, and then of course the book is in a flat matte.
What is that? A spot?
finish.
What do they call that? Spot?
That's a spot gloss.
Gloss. There you go. Thank you.
Same thing on the cover. You can see there.
I see it.
She's in the
logo on her are glossy.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Nice.
The illustrations themselves. Let me find a good. See, I bought earlier last year, I think it was actually. I got Black Hops #1 or something. Loved it. Loved the illustration. Loved the character. It was just a lot of fun. I'm trying to find something good that I can show off here. Black Hops is the Commando Bunny.
All right.
Just a fun comic where he goes off with his partner, who is a weasel, also a commando.
All right.
And they team up with Common America on a few occasions. Here, highlighting a different illustrator doing the weasel secondary story. It's just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun stuff in this book, and
I like the look of this thing.
They collected, like I said, this is the omnibus of Black Hops. So you got a lot of great illustrations, a lot of great pinups in the back.
Yeah,
just beautiful work, beautiful work.
Cool.
And then the other one is Common America, USGI by Timothy Lynn. Good job, Walt. Let's see here. Get a look at some Common America artwork. Wicked cool. There you see the weasel again. And of course, Black Hops.
Black Hops.
Yeah. Because, everybody should have a Commando Rabbit.
Of course.
Commando Rabbit.
I'm digging the Commando Rabbit.
See? How can you go wrong? Also a hardcover with, interestingly, I don't know if I can...
The Commando Rabbit on the front.
Yeah, but the Commando Rabbit, which I can't really show in this detail, is embossed. So he's raised on the cover along with Common America here. Very cool. I forgot I bought that. That's awesome. So I'm looking forward to reading those.
Those look good.
When I get an opportunity. Excellent.
All right.
Also watched a movie. I've forced Dirk to watch a movie this weekend because
Steve says that looks cool as hell.
the only way Dirk watches movies, it seems, is when I make him do it. So
That is so not true. But the movies I watch are very weird.
the movie that we watched is called The Witch, which is a Korean film, and it is part one of, I believe, 3. It is called the Witch Ascension, I think, if I'm getting that correct. I actually own it on Blu-ray, but thankfully it's also playing on Netflix. If you're into superheroes and hot South Korean girls, then check this one out. Lots of blood, lots of action. It's got a slow start, character development and so on. But once the action starts, it does not stop. I believe Dirk can attest to that.
Yeah.
And check that out if you get the opportunity. There you go.
What the heck was the name of that again?
The Witch
standalone
Ascension?
complex.
Ascension or something like that, I think. Let me look. I'm digging.
It had a weird name to it. It's called Witch something or other. Anyway, it is really good. And apparently they're going to do another one of those pretty soon today, because it was called like Volume 1 or something like that. Chapter 1 or Volume 1 or something. Anyway, it's kind of got a little horror element to it. It was really good. Sean does bring some really cool movies for me to watch. I always enjoy that. Anyway, I enjoyed that one. I have a Kickstarter that I want to talk about.
Subversion. The Witch Subversion.
Subversion, yes. This is called the Render Wave Colorpedia. It was a Kickstarter maybe late last year, I want to say. It seemed like I waited forever for this thing. It is a big, thick, hardcover book. At the beginning of this thing, what it does is it gives you some techniques for color. So the first half of the thing is just kind of a standard art book that goes over things like color theory and how to combine color and all that sort of stuff. And then the last half of it, what they do is they give you kind of a step-by-step on these color things. So there's an example of kind of one of the pieces that they go through piece by piece. If you are an illustrator or a comic artist and you're interested in color, we talked about it earlier this evening, how important color is. I cannot recommend this book. It is called The Render Wave Colorpedia. I cannot recommend this higher. I give this my greatest recommendation. If you do illustration, if you do comics, there's not a lot of stuff out there for color. I think that DC has a book on how to do color for comics. But this book is really, it has great art in it. Even if you just like the art, it has great art in it. But it also will go step by step and talk to, about how to construct this thing or get these different, it's digital art. So it gives you kind of tips and tricks on how to use mostly Photoshop. It's very Photoshop centric, but you could use this for Clip Studio Paint or some of the other programs that are out there. I think that if you're interested in doing color and you want to know more about it, you're going to be hard pressed to find something better. And I just got an alert from the people who came out with this thing, and they said that the next version of this, Volume 2, is going to be coming out here pretty soon. They're going to be doing another Kickstarter for it, and I will be first in line for that as well, because this has really been a valuable tool for me in learning how to do color for comics or for painting, whatever. There's so little of it out there.
I'd say if you missed the first book, try to catch the second Kickstarter, because a lot of times these companies, they will also resubmit the first book. So This is your opportunity. If you missed it the first time, this is your opportunity
Get
to
that
catch it on
book.
the
It is
second.
worth it. And it, honestly, for
Even
a
if you
hardback
just
book,
even if you just get the digital version of the book, there's a lot of knowledge in this that
much
will really help
it's
you.
not one person doing this. It's like every 2 pages is a different artist. And so you have a lot of really great knowledge that's being put out there. And color is huge. Whether you're doing illustrations or you're doing sequential art, is very important. So anyway, that's one of your better resources, I think, for that sort of thing. All right. That's On Blast, folks. Let's get on to our final segment. If I can find the deal. It's promo time. I'm not even gonna go away. I'm gonna start with Beth. Tell us where to find you.
You can find me at my website's bethannfreely.com if you're looking for my books. If you are looking for a compassionate editor or website designer, you can find me on themusesfunhouse.com. Compassionate. I try to give good criticism. I pay attention to my authors. I pay attention to what they have to say and why they wrote a character the way they wrote it, why they wrote scenes the way they wrote it. So yes, a compassionate editor. Or a website designer. You can find me on themusesfunhouse.com. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at BAFreely. And if you want to see the rest of places I'm showing up, man, follow my link tree, because it's gotten so long that I finally had to create one of those things.
Yeah.
You can also find me on the Taskforce Geek Book Crew. That is my podcast talking about tips and tricks for writing. The first 2 episodes are up. The most recent episode is about writing, understanding what the subgenres of romance novels are. And there are 10 main subgenres that you might want to read about or hear about. The first episode was about how to write a novel. Hopefully episode 3, I will have an interview with author Lavelle James, who is another romance author out there who I just recently discovered. He writes a lot of paranormal romance, and I'm looking forward to talking with him. So that's what I got.
Let me also say that that second episode is not just Beth speaking extemporaneously about the subject. She's got a PowerPoint presentation there. She has a lot of research and a lot of knowledge and a lot of thought behind what she's presenting there. It's 30 minutes. It's even if you're not, dialed in on romance genres, it's well worth your time to go over there and spend 30 minutes watching your show. Walt, what you got, man?
Well,
we're going to go to you.
Yeah, we can go to me. So these are all the places where you can find me. I'm not going to, take a screenshot of that. You can find me in those places. You can, I'm currently working on my website. I've been working on this for a while and I'm finally getting some traction. So if you've wanted to have me do some commissions lately, I've been doing pet portraits. I still have this one that I've done that I still haven't given to the client yet because we're having a hard time getting in touch with each other. But anyway.
How is that possible? How is she not breaking down your door?
Oh, it's logistics. It's what it is. So anyway, like I said, you can catch me at these places right here. And also, if you go to my Zazzle store, which I will show you a sample, I'll bring that up. If you go to my Zazzle store, you'll see that I've got some new items up here for sale. And my popular Robo Girls, I now have shoes, y'all.
I'm just waiting for payday Friday so I can order that onesie.
If you'd like a pair of shoes, and if you can't tell, this is kind of a Transformers theme. So,
do those come in a 12 wide?
Those sizes are out of stock at the moment.
Of course they are.
And so you can get those shoes. You can get these shoes. I have shoes with my logo now, so you can buy now or you can wait till later. I'm planning on doing some buy something, get something really cool kind of thing. So stay tuned. I'm working on some artwork to give away for a certain number of people if you buy something off of my site. So
Steve says Walt's promo screen is like watching Bloomberg's news channel.
Thank you, Steve. I watch a lot of Bloomberg, actually.
Good stuff. Scott thinks that I use big words to sound important.
I haven't heard any big words.
Sound cool.
What big words have you been using?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I said extemporaneous. Which to Scott is a big word.
Big word to me.
It means extra.
I tried not to use words like that in the past, and it makes me stutter because I'm trying to find a normal word to use or whatever. And so it's the appropriate word. That's the word I use. That's all I can say.
I'm fine with it.
I'm good with it, obviously.
All right. So let's go next to Sean, and then we will wrap up with our guest.
Well, as always, you can find me at RainKingStudios.com. That's RainKingStudios.com, RainKingStudios.com. You can check out myself, Dirk, Scott, who has chimed in, the Spicy King, as well as our other studio member, Robert. Any projects that we're working on.
Who will be our guest next week?
Any artwork that we...
No knocking. We're being positive, Sean. What?
I'm positively knocking on some wood.
All right.
Positivity, man.
The power of positivity.
Absolutely. You can find any projects that we're working on, anything upcoming, any artwork that we're working on or anything. Check us out there. Take a look at our portfolios. Also, you can find Dirk and myself have we have commission pages you can check out by just clicking on the drop downs. Take a look at what we got and give us a ringy dingy. Some of you will get that.
Dude,
I said
it's really old.
I got it.
It's really old.
It's a deep cut.
Also, you can find us at on Facebook /Ranking Studios. Again, feel free to drop by, leave us a comment, good or bad. It doesn't matter. I read it all. We just want people to talk to us, make us feel loved.
All right. Well, we're going to bring it home with Michael. Tell us where to find you, and I'll try to. Hopefully, I have all the banners set up.
Well, primarily, if you want to check out my artwork, you're going to have to scroll down a little bit on my Instagram, which is at Michael Pickard Art. The problem is right now I'm promoting a lot of Nate and Johnny's artwork right now with the two Kickstarter campaigns. So when you get in there, you're going to be like, there's a Superman piece that doesn't look like those two. And then you'll go a little bit lower. There's an Ant-Man, and then the rest will just be my artwork. So if you want to check out some of my personal work, Michael Pickard Art at Instagram.com is a good one. PickardArt.com is my full portfolio site. You can check that out as well. There's also a shop on there if you want to buy some original pieces. I do commissions primarily just based on direct messaging or emails. There's a contact link on PickardArt.com if you want to be very professional about it. You can go through there. You'll get a contact from me, and I can send you my commission prices. But of course, the two Kickstarter campaigns for Heartland Blood and the Daring Exploits of Vance LaunchPad drop tomorrow on Kickstarter. Dirk has been kind enough to share those with all of you, but please check them out. Johnny and Nate's art alone is just reason to pick up a copy of the book. It's phenomenal.
Any hint on when those are going to drop?
For when they'll be finished?
When it will be, when the Kickstarters will start.
Well, the thing with the Kickstarters are we're not quite sure if it'll launch automatically when the time changes from today into tomorrow. So I've already warned my two collaborators that as soon as you wake up, check the Kickstarter and click launch. If
are you saying it may go at midnight?
It might. If it's not, go check out the pages and at least give it a follow. Yeah, at least give the pages a follow if you check the links right now, which you'll get an update as soon as the campaigns launch. So you'll be updated as soon as they are.
Well, look, anyone who, if you haven't seen the beginning of this thing, go back to the beginning of the show and look at this artwork and get the pitch for these. They're both two interesting projects. Get over there. Let's support this thing. And the artwork is incredible on both projects. They're really good, and kind of a one-man show. I mean, these guys are doing the whole thing, which is amazing.
Come on.
So there it is. Right. So there's Heartland Blood, and then there is the daring exploits of Vance LaunchPad.
Thank you, Dirk.
Which is awesome.
And the next time I do come on, we'll talk a little bit more about my my duck friend here that you guys were
Duck Bill
hyping up a little bit out. Yeah, Duck Bill there. We'll talk about that in a future time, though.
And I can't wait until we have you on here again for sure. Steve says the title of that Launchpad series is enough for me. Let's do this.
Thanks, Steve. That's it. It's the name. It's the kicker,
it's the name.
That's a winner. That's a winner. For sure. All right. I think you guys know where to find me on this sort of stuff. I have, for the first time in 20 years, I'd spent about 8 days doing a painting, which is crazy. That's a pretty long period of time for me to do a piece of artwork. And as soon as I got done with that, I did another piece, which I finished very late last night. So anyway, I've been pretty busy, but I can't share the pieces because one is for a birthday in January, and the other, the person hasn't received it yet. So I don't know. So anyway, I've been busy doing this stuff, and it's been a lot of fun, but I can't share it with you. So there. The end.
Nah, can't share it with you. So nah,
can't share it. Probably, I mean, easily my best painted piece, and this new piece that I got is, I was really happy with what happened, but I'm not sharing it. I can talk big about it because I don't have to share it. How about that? All right, I think that's it, folks. Does anyone have anything they want to add before we wrap up?
Thank you guys for having me, firstly.
And
welcome.
Don't forget to visit us Thursday for
Steve thinks it's for him. Unless you're like a pretty princess dominatrix, which
I don't need that picture.
Don't give him ideas, Dirk. Come on, man. Don't give him ideas.
Yeah, Dirk, all I wanted to say was be sure that everybody comes back and catches us here at 3:00 Central Time for Spoiler Alert.
Don't
Very
you
good.
also have an upcoming appearance?
Yeah, might as well. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm going to be showing up at Fan Expo in Dallas in about a week and a half. Going out on Thursday night. Going to be setting the thing up. I'm going to have 3 prints that are going to be available, but more importantly, we're going to be pushing the Bad Candy comic universe, which includes issue number 3, which we are hoping to be launching on Tuesday night. And also have the other 2 issues plus the tasty treats. You'll be able to meet me and maybe Beth and Walt, who could be out there potentially, and Robert and Joe, who are the writer and artist on that series. We're all going to be out there. We're doing a little Taskforce Geek appearance as well, so hopefully we'll be either connecting with people or maybe doing a few pieces where we talk to people based on their availability or whatever. I'd really like to get them on the show because we can kind of control the interviews a little bit better, but if I get a chance to talk to David Finch for a minute and a half, I'm going to do it. So anyway, yeah, I will be out in Dallas in about a week and a half, and hopefully meeting you or whoever's out there and stuff. First convention appearance in a long time. All right, we got a couple of comments there, and we're going to wrap it up. Thanks to you, Steve. Thanks
brother.
also to Ronnie, Ronnie's been around.
Ronnie was first today.
Yeah.
Ronnie was first and last.
Ronnie stuck it out with us.
How about that, folks?
You're awesome, brother.
Thanks to Michael Pickard for joining us.
Definitely.
You were a great guest, also a great geek. I can tell that you know your stuff. So you are absolutely welcome back here anytime, and hopefully we can get you back soon so we can get an update on your 2 Kickstarters and your other. He's got another Kickstarter coming next month, folks.
And
So,
just to tease it, there might even be a 4th. We'll see what
holy
happens.
cow, what?
What?
I'll drop that as my end credit thing right there. There's a 4th that might be on Kickstarter as well, but we'll
You're
find
out of
about
control, man.
Cliffhanger.
We really enjoyed having you here and hope that this is the first of many times to come, Michael.
No, absolutely, Dirk. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute blast.
My pleasure. And thanks also to Sean and to Walt and to Beth. Thanks to everyone who's watching us. We sure do appreciate your comments and your participation. We're doing this for you guys. So until next time, this is Dirk Hooper saying, dream hard.